But for my own sake, hey y'all, welcome to yet another episode of the of Two Minds podcast. My name is a damn fine cryptid, aka Connor, and I am joined by Beyond the Grave, and we are here talking about Summer Games Fest and the weekend of video game presentations and in-game events that we went to. Yeah, so. What was where do you want to start? What was your biggest takeaway from SGF? We actually we did go down to good old YouTube theater and we saw the Dorito Pope in person. Good old Jeff Keighley giving the show. It was a good vibe this year, I think.
It was. It wasn't. I would say.
There wasn't anything like life-shattering being announced, but like...
Yeah, or it was like, it wasn't stuff that like, everyone was like, oh, well, this was already leaked, this was expected type of thing, or...
Yeah.
It wasn't anything bland either. I was actually kind of impressed with a lot that was shown.
It was like a pretty consistent 8, like, across the board. Yeah. Like, everything presented was like, this looks pretty fucking cool.
Like, for me, like, right out the gate when the show started... Mortal Shell 2 came out of the gate, and I was just like, "Whoa!"
I'll pay for premium eventually, guys.
This is a huge improvement over the first game.
Okay, so we didn't have as strong an opening statement from Jeff this year. Last year, we was really kind of a condemnation of the industry because of the record-setting number of layoffs that had happened. We aren't really doing much better as an industry, but the show opened up with the focus on like the top 10 best-selling games on Steam, leading digital distribution platform, and Jeff definitely highlighted the focus on how Repo was one of the best-selling games on there. And again, like, yeah. I don't know how anyone else feels about the subgenre that you can lovingly call like social schlock.
Yeah.
But like the new age of online party games definitely is going to command more unit sales because Repo's $5. But it is the point being made by that maintaining its lead on sales is that it's a game made by a small team with very little traditional production oversight. And, you know, it's just fun. And it's an idea that, you know, would not work in the traditional production sphere.
True. And it's one of those, I don't know, that game just, for what it is, it's just one of those, it's like, yeah, you can just pick up and play. It's not really anything too crazy, and as well as the devs are well aware of the fan base that and how much fun it's been going on, that they're actively like wanting to keep up with keeping the game fun for people to continue the long-lasting relationship. Again, there's
obviously
no mention with
the other big well, Expedition 33 is number 4 or 6 on that list. I remember 4 and 6 were the two big, also mentioned alongside Repo. There's a lot to be said about the non-traditional production. Video game AAA production is not a guaranteed success anymore, and we're essentially saying the quiet part out loud because everyone who's worked industry adjacent or has listened to people who work industry adjacent speak on their experience. It just is a creatively stifling environment, and it's no longer making the kind of perpetual wealth that, you know, the treatment is justified in the past. So we really now more than ever need to reward new and interesting ideas that are being produced outside of that sphere.
No, absolutely, and he made sure to make that a point.
Like, he really wasn't as strong as a lot of these last year, though, because last year we had like a solid like 10-minute diatribe about basically just a condemnation of the industry for allowing this many
I think last year was just like the
seasoned
big
employees to be
like
lost.
reveal of it, but this year was more like a what you see. Like it's not always about these big publishers. Like
Yeah.
these small companies can make games just as well. Last year's was just like, yeah, this is fucking terrible. Like that you're letting go so much talent when there's still so much
Like
potential
there's
still
so
left
much
there, all because of
experiential loss everybody has to keep.
your your need to fill the pockets of your shareholders.
Well, and at the end of the day, the shareholders are losing out because the games that get produced aren't as good because they are forced to be made in a timeline that doesn't make any fucking sense. And if you're laying off half of your team every other project, then there's no experiential buildup. So you're starting from scratch every single time. But yeah, we it had been playing in the background, but we the first actual trailer of the show was the Mortal Shell 2 trailer, which sitting there we didn't immediately like I thought it might have been a Mortal Shell sequel, but a
I was it too.
recurring
Like I remember
yeah.
watching, I was like, "This feels Mortal Shell-esque," but I didn't want to say anything because I was like, "No, it's too soon." I think for the sequel.
So there's this recurring theme of like sequels that have taken like a tonal pivot, and Mortal Shell 2 like it's not I don't know if it's just like a shift in the overall enemy character design, but it's definitely shifted to more of a like this is the world of a metal album cover kind of vibe than like traditional ass dark fantasy, like Berserk wannabe shenanigans. And it's a more livable kind of it's something I think that has more legs than the original, so I hope that
Yeah, who
it
was it?
lives up to that potential.
I was watching Matt McMuscles and Liam's review on it. The way he described it, I was like, it's the perfect. For me, it felt very like right to say. He's like, Mortal Shell 1 was the idea, Mortal Shell 2 is the execution
Yeah, I
of
mean,
said idea. Like because Mortal Shell 1 did feel like I guess at the end of I never fully like played it. I tried it out. I only tried the demo, but I guess
I had
in
played
like
it. I had gotten like a
longevity,
solid hour and a half in,
that
and
game is not that long. It's pretty
no,
short. So I guess this one is like this is what they actually intended to do. Like, and you can see where they like it's being expanded upon on from the first one.
it's a rare opportunity for a sequel to actually be a point of improvement because I feel like it's more common in video games for the second iteration to be like here's where we can build on all of the good ideas from the first game, because more often than not in other forms of media your middle ground movie is usually the bridging point for a trilogy, so it's not going to have as much narrative value, it's not going to have as much uh, weight overall. But I feel like this year is definitely like, nah, we're really trying some shit because we'll see going forward. But I feel like Death Stranding 2, also playing right now, is definitely in that sphere as well because it's all the taglines that have been attached to these trailers so far as they've come out sequentially feel like Kojima regrets what he did with like maybe the
First
underlying
one?
message is regret for like well the first major tagline for Death Stranding 2 was maybe we shouldn't have connected.
Mm.
And like when Kojima came out on stage, everything he was saying was that this sequel is going to be a reflection of how Death Stranding was viewed after and during the pandemic.
That is true. It did come out during that time.
It came out just before, and it was
Yeah,
like everyone was saying, "Oh man, Genius Kojumbo strikes again." He fucking predicted that this was going to happen because it's a game about the necessity of social connection between people in a world where you can't leave your fucking house. And the mailman is literally saving the world.
yes, the old mailman doing what he does best, making his deliveries.
But amongst the trailers that were brought in, I think the Death Stranding 2 one is interesting. Kojima just gets to do whatever he wants. So to have
Yeah,
like
like, I
a
mean,
really
watching this
heavy
trailer, I was
narrative
so
trailer,
confused.
yeah,
Like, I have no idea because again, I didn't play through the first one. I saw parts of the first one, so I didn't even see the whole thing. But just even seeing some of the setup to the second one, I'm like, I am now even more confused. And then even seeing the characters that are like coming to the second one, I'm like, I have no idea what's going on. I don't know
and people want to
any of
talk about how
this.
Kingdom Hearts is complicated.
Yeah, well, could you imagine Kojima behind Kingdom Hearts?
Oh man, that's a that's a whole can of worms. But yeah, no. So this trailer introduced a couple of new characters, and it was just like a really like in-depth emotional scene, just completely out of
Yeah.
context.
Like, truth be told, it felt like I was like, oh, okay, what's gonna go on here? And then it just like became them bickering like an old married couple. Like, don't you remember? And he's just like, what the hell? I was like, I literally sat there. I'm like, I don't know what the hell's going on.
It
Like,
felt like
is this
the
supposed to
anime
be
trope of the
important?
protagonist who forgot his childhood friend who is the most important in the world to him, but then he remembers.
Clearly, because then I was really baffled. I was like,
But
I don't know if that
so
was
for a
supposed to
little bit of
clarify anything or
analysis,
not.
since I did play Death Stranding 1 to completion, Neil, the character presented in the
The
trailer,
dude.
he
Mhm.
could be a I forget the term for it. It's the same like type of supernatural human that Norman Reedus's character is, like a I think it's
Didn't you
like
say
a
he's a porter or something like that?
well, he is a porter, but a porter is just a title that means you're a transporter. Uh, he
Ah,
is
okay.
a repatriate, if I'm remembering correctly, which means that when he dies, he doesn't.
Damn.
Essentially, anyone with that state of being becomes a walking nuke, and if they die, it destroys the area around them. And this is reflected in the game. Like if you fuck up and die in Death Stranding
Yeah.
1, it will absolutely destroy the scenery in that space, and you'll have
Oh, I
to
remember. I remember that.
reassess how to get around the new environment.
Right.
But it would explain, like, if he had rescued her when she was a little girl, if he's the exact same. Time and immortality are kind of weird, amorphous concepts that aren't super delved into very deeply in Death Stranding, but are a major component of its plot.
Yeah. Um.
But I'm looking forward to it. It's like in 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks
Yeah.
from
I
now.
I totally forgot when he said, "Oh yeah, you just have to." I thought when he said you have to just wait like a couple more. I thought he said a couple more weeks or like
Yeah,
months.
it's the
Oh,
end
he
of the
said a
month.
couple more days. Yeah, like it's at the end of the month, and I was like, Kojima, there's a difference in between a couple days and a couple weeks here, man.
Now, I also
Like,
have completely lost track of time, so that came as a surprise as we were sitting there.
yeah, right.
I'm like, oh shit, that is out this month.
After that announcement, the next one was, I mean, for me personally, obviously, the Sonic Crossroads one. I
Yeah.
loved. I got even more excited for that game, seeing that trailer live.
Yep.
It's after this one. It's after the one that's playing right now. This is the Tom Hardy one that they
Well, Tom
are.
Hardy
He's
narrates
narrating.
this. I don't know if
Yeah,
you.
he's narrating it. We don't really have to stay through that one. This is just. It just looks like
We
another like.
can just scroll through. It's
I guess you could say
fine.
power simulator or power simulator, a fucking army simulator game.
Hatsune
I
Miku
mean,
in your Sonic fucking racing game.
I apparently she was a leaked character, like so. This
Oh,
wasn't
people knew
new.
about that?
I mean, yeah,
I
I
don't know,
didn't know
man.
that because I didn't follow the game that closely. But after seeing the guest characters with Ichiban, Joker, and Hatsune Miku, and then just seeing the game in general, I was just like, this looks a lot more fun than
This
I
really is
was
just kind
giving
of
it credit.
Sega All Stars Racing, more so than
Essentially,
Sonic Racing at this point. Just
yeah,
more focus on Sonic.
yeah. Well, obviously, yes.
So there was a bit because the creator of Sonic came out and spoke
Yeah,
during
he's
the
there. Yeah,
yeah. Um, he kind of took a jab at the Mario Kart World launch because he's
I,
like,
I don't know.
"Oh yeah, no, this game is out and has multi-platform support so that you can actually play with your friends because the new Mario Kart is locked to the Switch 2 and
Yeah.
Basically, you gotta get into a knife fight outside of a Best Buy to get a Switch 2 at this point.
Oh yeah, I love the little jab where he's like, "Yeah, this is cross-platform, so you can play with all your friends across any of the platforms you choose." And I was like, "Damn," because I love how he says, "Unlike another kart racer." I was like, "Oh, we already know who he's talking about," because that launch has been a disaster for them.
I mean, it's not really a disaster. It's just it's the console launched too fucking soon, and they didn't have like once
Enough.
again Nintendo has underestimated the amount of stock they need to have produced for a goddamn console launch.
Yeah, I mean, and I knew that was gonna happen too. I was like, no matter what Nintendo does, they're not gonna be ready for it.
I mean, I'm gonna be real.
Oh yeah, and
We
then
haven't had a prepared launch since the Wii. Well, not even the Wii U. The Wii U was
not
a
even the
nightmare to
Wii.
get at first.
The Wii is, I think, what started it all. Because I remember that thing used to be sold out horrendously everywhere, and everyone would always come in. Do you have the Wii now? Do you have the Wii now? Do you have every day when I worked at GameStop? Do you have the Wii? Do you have the Wii? We got two in, so if you can come down and get it, can I just pay for it over the phone? Like, no,
No,
I'm not gonna do that.
not a thing. Um. Oh yeah,
This
no.
was
Code Vein
Code Vein
2.
2.
Code Vein 2.
Also threw me off.
I when I watched this, I'm like, this feels like several
I
things,
really thought it,
but the
I
character,
really
honestly,
thought it was Castlevania.
the creature design made me think it was Code Vein again. Because I don't know how much of that game you actually played. I remember
I never
playing
played it.
the launch demo at Anime Expo, however many years ago.
Yeah.
I remember because my space in line was subverted by the cosplay team that they had because they wanted to do a shoot of them playing the demo, and that added an extra half hour to my wait time. And they're like, okay, well, we're just gonna give you one of the branded thermoses that they had. If you beat the demo, you got the thing. And they're like, you were patient, take this and play the game. But yeah,
Never played Code Vein.
it's
I just saw those
definitely
designs, and I
it's
really
different.
thought, I was like, this is Castlevania. I was like, this looks like Castlevania,
Well, I mean, you look
but
at
just
some Code Vein
anime.
character designs, that is kind of like the Castlevania at home is the vibe they're trying to evoke. But it is definitely a different tone than the first game.
Yeah, it looks completely of a different tone from the
Yeah.
first game. I mean, if I had to compare, I like the designs better in this game than I do in the first game.
I mean, yeah, it's definitely more striking kind of
I remember right here.
general art
I remember when
style.
this was playing. I leaned over to you. I was like, "It's anime Devil May Cry. They have anime Devil May Cry now." And then, like, you looked at me like, "Dumbass, like, don't you know what this is?" I was like, "Oh." Well, I was like, What do you mean?" And then this popped up right here. It was like Code Vein 2. I was
Well,
like,
I feel like they've definitely taken inspiration
"Oh,
from like God Eater
yeah."
and uh, Astral Chain is the other vibe I was kind of getting from some of the creature design.
Ooh, that's another one. That's another good one.
I don't know if I could recommend Astral Chain to anyone, but if you really like character action games and you really like character action games, then you could probably play Astral Chain without a problem.
It's a good.
It's good. It's just like it's innately difficult to play because the primary gameplay scheme where you're only like
Yep.
half controlling your police stand. Oh man, what useful closed captions? Question mark? Question mark?
Yeah, you have the double question mark. I was like, oh, so you don't even know what it is, huh?
Well, if I'm remembering right, this isn't like a Dark Simlish or whatever the fuck.
Yeah. This game looked interesting too.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
was definitely interested in trying this one, End of Abyss or whatever.
End of Abyss. It's on the
Well,
list. Um,
I was heavily interested in this as we were watching. I was like,
it
this gives me this weird
like if Little
itch
Nightmares
from
could get
like
darker.
exactly.
Yeah.
I was like, because that's what immediately I was like, this isn't Little Nightmares. I was like, is this that other one, React? But I was like, no, because that one was a co-op game and it didn't have a gun from what I saw.
Yeah.
And then they did the reveal of the monster and she started shooting at them. I was like, oh, this is completely different, but I'm in for it.
Yeah. On the
Um,
last note for Nintendo, the idea that being short hardware is a marketing strategy so that they sell out in the next quarter is not too crazy, but
it's really not. It does
it
seem like a nice
doesn't,
toy.
I don't think that particular strategy has ever netted positive because it just is a lot of bad PR for Nintendo in the meantime.
Mm-mm-mm-mm.
Oh yeah, there's the rubber hose animation style game, which I feel like, I don't know, there've been a couple of things I've seen that are kind of this vibe, but this is definitely the most like direct.
This was, yeah, this one definitely it looks fun. I
I
don't know if I'll
feel
play this day one though.
Yeah, I feel like there was another rubber hose style like PI game, but I can't remember what it was.
Was there?
I There's been a couple of things that are like vaguely within this sphere, like
Hmm.
kind of leaning more boomer shooter than anything else. Like Fallen Aces is the other vibe that I kind of get.
Boomer shooter.
Um,
What else? Oh, this is the Game of Thrones.
so I can bitch about Game of Thrones because I actually read the books and I watched the show as it was, going on. The fact that this RTS game wants to let you do whatever fan fiction shenanigans you want by changing the timeline can only benefit because if you're going to take the likenesses of the show and then do something that is maybe better, sure, go for it.
People are
Can't
gonna
can't be
rewrite their
worse
own
than
endings
what D and D did to the fucking thing, and I don't mean Dungeons and Dragons. I mean the directors who went into hiding after the fucking the
well,
finale aired. Um, but this is also there's a weird number of Game of Thrones licensed games happening that are using like character likenesses. And I feel like the boat has already kind of has already sailed on this
that's the other thing.
like having a chance.
I don't understand how it's still like. Is it still that popular? Like I thought
So
people had
Game
fallen
of
off with it. Like
Thrones
just
is a
said, and
really
that's it.
popular fantasy novel series. I feel
That
like
I
the
know
show has had diminishing returns since season 4, and became
because
like a toxic point of contention after season 6 and the last.
because then I know they did that prequel show, The House of the Dragons,
So I
which
haven't actually watched that.
apparently everyone did like. Like
I
they
mean,
said that one was a solid show, but again, anything compared to the ending of fucking Game of Thrones, yeah, it's gonna be a fucking 10 out of 10 show.
it's a
Um,
mess. But there is
but I
also
don't
that
know. I just feel like I thought it lost its like luster already at
because
this
this is
point.
the RTS, and there is another
Yes,
like third-person character action style thing
it
with
just came
a
out, didn't
self
it?
ins. I have no fucking clue, but it's like a self insert character in the exact events of the end of the show.
Yeah,
So I don't know like why all this GOT noise now because it's like if you're going to go after like show hype, why not make a House of the Dragon style thing?
I don't know.
Um,
This is Space Russia, aka Atomic Heart 2. This is also another game that I was like,
so
didn't the first one just come out and they're
the
already
the
announcing the
3D printed whale
sequel?
thing kind of like took me through a loop. Like if you looked over to me when I was sitting in the seat while this was happening, I just like my head was completely like horizontal
Yeah,
tilted to like what the fuck is this? And then I
yeah,
saw this and I'm like, oh, it's Atomic Heart again. Which
yeah. I didn't realize it was Atomic Heart until like I saw the girl playing with the bullet lipstick, and I was like, is this Atomic Heart 2? I was like, there's no way they already made a second game.
I feel like there's a chance because this is uh
Yeah,
there's one thing within the context of the show that I found to be really stupid about this trailer, and it's that Jeff quoted it as a spiritual successor to the first game, and I am a pedantic asshole. That is literally my job. I don't get paid for it, but it's what I do. You can't have something be a spiritual successor if it is the same IP. You can say that these are
true.
disconnected chronologically, you can say that these are disconnected, like narratively. Like this is a sequel that does not follow the events of the first game, but it is not a spiritual successor because it is Atomic Heart 2. This is a sequel. And yeah, I
Whether
mean,
it follows the events of one, that's different. Like
that's a
you can just
whole.
have it be Atomic. You can just have it be Atomic Heart 2, and then that's it.
The
Like
tone is
it's its own
also like
story.
really wild because I don't know if you played Atomic Heart 1.
Nope.
It's just Bioshock Russia. It's fine. It doesn't play particularly amazingly. I am very picky about shit, and game feel is one of those like completely nondescript things that you can try to explain the vibe of, but ultimately it's completely like it is a fluctuating thing from game to game. It is never consistent. I tried playing Atomic Heart. The game feels too disconnected from its control scheme to feel good. Like you can kind of compare it to Prey. I wouldn't say it is an immersive sim. It is a little closer to just like a narrative FPS. Because the RPG mechanics are kind of minimal, at least with what I experienced. But it just felt fucking bad to play. Like the movement felt bad. And it led to me dying like multiple times. And yeah, I could be shit here at a game and be salt, and that's fine. But it was more so that like it just felt fucking bad to control. And if you're playing a narrative FPS or a immersive sim, that's not like that is a death knell. You do not want that to be the first thing that comes to mind. Is like, oh yeah, Atomic Heart. It's that game that felt like shit to move around in.
Yeah, personally, I just didn't have any interest in it when it even first came out. I was like, personally for me, I was like, it literally just looks like another Bioshock-esque game. And then that's where it stopped for me. I was like, well, I don't care to play it. Like, it just never really captured
I
me. I know
mean,
for a lot of other people it did, but me personally, I was like, yeah, I don't know.
got
It's
a
not it.
Atomic Heart on sale because of the trailer. Yeah. So some one thing of note is that hey guys, if you haven't watched any of the trailers or any of the stuff, and you're listening to this right now, a lot of stuff that has direct sequels has made significant sales available across digital platforms. I think Mortal Shell 1 is like $1.50. Shit's crazy. Go check that out while you can.
Oh, that was another thing I was surprised about. There were a lot of sequel games announced.
Yeah, and they were all sequels that like just felt like a tonal shift. Like we're doing a tonal pivot so that we can apply the core
Like Code
concepts
Vein,
to a
yeah,
different demographic.
Code Vein's another one. Code Vein's 8.99 if you guys want to snag that by any chance.
Yeah,
Talking about it's 85% off. Like
just crazy.
it was one of those like I really sat there and was like, there are a lot of sequels being announced, and I don't know if it's because they just knew these games were gonna be successful,
We didn't really talk about it,
or
but the cube is an
they
interesting
felt
thing where they're
that game.
simultaneously or preemptively releasing a
I'll tell you that one.
MMO
That one
iteration
looked
of a
interesting.
shooter alongside a narrative shooter. I cannot remember the last time anything like that's uh, been done.
That game did catch my interest because I was like, that's pretty cool. Where literally the environments are shifting. I don't know how often, but according to what they say, yes, the cube is constantly shifting, so environments are always going to be changing, which means you're always going to be fighting in different areas. And I was like, that is a sick concept for a game
If nothing
if you're
else,
going to try to make it an MMO.
I feel like it's them feeling so extremely confident in how the gameplay feels this time around that they are able to make a secondary game that is entirely focused on the gameplay.
Yes.
Uh, so maybe that's just like, hey, we're gonna ball out because the sequel's this good. But yeah, no, Atomic Heart 1 tonally not at all what we saw in that trailer. That trailer was like goofy ass Marvel bit writing. Still very Russian, but still like the tone is kind of on its head. This isn't a new trailer. This wasn't like a premiere trailer, but the Onimusha, like the new Onimusha game, is something I've been looking forward to for a while.
just something. Yeah, not to pass up on Marvel. That game does look fun. I just didn't care for the characters they had announced
I
because I'm over
mean,
Rocket, and I've never really been one for She-Hulk. I mean, she's great, but I think I've gotten too much of them that I'm just like,
I feel like
I don't
as
care.
long if they can hit the previous like bar of prior Marvel beat 'em ups, then it's not
Yeah.
really gonna matter who
Oh,
you're
absolutely.
playing as long as the game's as good as it once was.
But this game, I am absolutely looking forward to. As a huge Onimusha fan, I loved the first three. The fourth one was a weird take on the game because it came out like a couple years after the third one, so it was like a completely disconnect from the. It was still fun though. I still enjoyed it personally.
Hmm.
So I'm excited to see how this one's gonna be like. Is this one gonna play like the old one? Is this gonna play more like a Souls like? Like what's the gist of this one here? But I
Well,
am hands
for the
down
longest
looking
time,
looking
Onimusha was
forward to it.
kind of like a point of comparison for other games that were doing the semi-stilted Resident Evil esque kind of vibes, but more DMC ish in
Mhm.
DMC one uh, in its combat.
Yeah. Well,
Um,
the first one for sure was Resident Evil, but samurai and swords.
yeah,
The second one changed it up quite a bit. And then, of course, the third one is with genre.
it's been long enough that I think I have to go back and replay Onimusha one and two at least.
If someone claims Atomic Heart 2 to be DLC instead of a sequel, I could see that. Depending on how that game
I
plays out,
mean,
people would be like, "This is just a big DLC instead of a sequel." This game though, here,
fucking the Muppet boxing thing, like
this thing
Beyond can
was
attest, we were both
absolutely,
sitting there fucking slack-jawed at what this was on
yeah, like,
screen.
because at first we were like, "Is this all like just a cinematic trailer? Like, what are we looking?" Then we realized, no, that's all in game. Like that's like in game.
And it's really
Um,
crazy that they're able to render like effective like Muppet texture like the
yeah,
way that they have, because this is in engine. This is like apparently things can shift and change based on your decisions. Like it's almost uh not roguelike. I did see that some people were trying to say like, oh, just there's this much variety, but like this is not all pre-rendered fucking cutscene. This is not like FMV. This is rendered in engine, and it kind of hits that uncanny valley thing of like this is almost too good that it kind of puts you off a little bit because you're like, that's a Muppet. And
that's a
then
straight up like
there's the
Muppet, like
movement
puppet.
that is like, that is not a Muppet.
But this is where I started getting even way more excited and impressed. I was like, it's Punch Out. It's Goofy Puppet Muppet Punch Out.
I'm down
I
for it.
was all about it. I was so in for this. Like, I think of all the games that were shown there, that one was the one that I think impressed the people the most. Or
Because if you look at
maybe not
everyone's
impressed,
goddamn
but it was the one
bingo
that like
cards
stuck
for the
with them.
weekend,
Yeah.
like no one was looking for Muppet Punch Out ahead of time. That being announced was
It's definitely the one that left the
goofy as
most
hell.
lasting impression. This game also looks pretty interesting, but to play this game, I feel like you would need a big enough group. I mean, you would have to
Killer
have the
in.
full sufficient group.
I've
Yeah,
I've
because
got
they did say it was 24 players.
I'm a little like I'm feeling a little dubious about Killer In because just there are a couple of social deception games that have taken this like format of like 3D walk around, discover clues, do the thing, that have been less active. This is almost like I don't know if you ever played Trouble in Terrorist Town on Gmod, but it doesn't really matter if you're the killer or not because it looks like everybody's just able to fucking murder everybody. So it's interesting. I don't know how it's going to play out. And I think it's really going to depend on if you can get like 12 people in a Discord and play it with a degree of communication as an option, because I can't see how
24
this will
people.
work.
Remember that?
Yeah, that's the thing that threw us, was that there's 24 person
It's
multiplayer.
24 people lobbies, and more than likely it will have matchmaking. I signed up for that wish list, like
I did too.
beta thing to get in, just to see because I do want to try. Because as you were saying, like it does look like it doesn't matter. You could kill your own teammates just to pass off, like, oh yeah, I'm not one of the killers. Just slaughter half my team to try to like obviously fake your way around to get the other team to convince you
I
that you're
do
one of them,
generally enjoy
and then you could
social
just start
deception
killing from
games.
the inside. What
NG
I like,
hasn't been
I
here in
think
a
what I like
while.
is just the exploration aspect, where it's like, oh, you can find stuff within to help you, and then you as another player could just sabotage that person from using said items.
Yeah, my other mod, NG, hasn't been here in a bit, but they got a test that Blood on the Clock Tower was our go-to game during early mid-pandemic
Mhm.
for kind of like a weekly basis. So I'm interested to see how the deception features are going to work when it seems that there are not a lot of limits on what
Yeah.
you can do or what your objective is. Because, like, trying to play Among Us where regular crewmates can also kill people, it doesn't equate in my head, you know?
But I mean, I guess that also brings in a new aspect of it because it's something you're not used to. So you're like, how will this actually play out? Is that going to be too OP, or is it actually going to hinder the game itself?
Well, the issue that I have with social deception games is that after enough time, they are like people in the FGC talk about how fighting games can get solved after a lack of updates because it's just like, no, this is within the meta of matchups. This character doing this move at this time in this, like, with this degree of reaction within this number of frames is the solution to the fight. Social deception games are much less like they're significantly less complicated, so they can be solved. And if you have someone who is pedantic enough, they can tell you, which is why I stopped playing Among Us, that your bluff cannot be true because of other factors that do not allow for the thing that you are lying about to have happened. And that's the point where it does, like, if there is such a discrepancy in game knowledge that it becomes a factor, that's going to be the death knell of that game. So, like every social deception game has a time limit to how well
Of
and
course.
how effectively it can be played within any number of groups. So who knows? It's going to be kind of key that
Yeah.
you get in early, but not so early that you're just dealing with a bunch of people who don't know what they're doing.
I think you could just skip on to the next trailer here because,
I know that you really don't like Dune for some reason, but I'm alright with Dune. Dune's okay. Hey, y'all, you want to go read some weird
yeah, I don't know
shit
why.
where people, uh, like, someone's kid becomes a prophesied worm god king because of the drugs that you need to take to do faster than light travel? Go read Dune. The movies are.
This game, like, you're not. Are you the chosen one, or are you
No,
just some other
you're just
schmuck?
some
Right?
schmuck. It's Conan Exiles with a Dune skin. Hey, man, that's welcome. I will take that. I will go to Arrakis as just some
Forgot
guy
about
because
that
it
game.
guarantees that you die and it doesn't matter.
I forgot about that game too. It'd been a while since I've heard about Conan Exiles.
I saw someone streaming it recently, but it was also on a private Discord group server, so it was like not too much shenanigans because that game got real toxic real quick.
Hmm.
But yeah, I feel like Dune's pretty alright. Maybe if you're not a fan of Timothée Chalamet, the David Lynch original movie version of Dune's pretty good. It's not the best iteration of Dune from any perspective, but it's cool enough because of the context of the time frame it was made in. And was it a
Like,
commercial flop? Yeah, totally. But fucking, you take a look at the practical effects in that movie and tell me it's not worth watching.
I mean, it's a fraction of what the new Dunes cost. So
I mean, if you adjust for inflation and shit, it's hard to compare, man. Fucking the '80s to. Anyway, I know that you dislike Dune.
yeah, Chrono Odyssey is definitely another one that stood out to me that I want to try. But
So
actually, I didn't realize that it was an MMO
this,
until
yeah,
we
this
talked about it
trailer
last night.
looks fucking sick. But we were looking at the Steam page wishlist page for it, and it is by its own description an MMO. I don't know what the deal is there because this is very much a vibes
Yeah.
trailer.
Yeah, I thought this was gonna be like another like action adventure, like Souls-like esque
This
game.
doesn't read as MMO to me, but now that I'm looking at the combat, it does also kind of give the vibes of Black Desert, which I don't know if you've ever actually played.
I've never played it, but I have seen a lot of
People
gameplay.
make characters in the character creator because it's super detailed.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like I've seen people like take hours trying to create their characters.
Yeah.
It's a lot.
I don't know.
But yeah, watching all of
No,
this, I was like, this doesn't look like an MMORPG to
no,
me.
this looks like an action game, but if they can accomplish what oh shit, I'm blanking on the name of there's a third person Western style RPG that was like trying to compete with WoW. And I can't remember what it was, but yeah, no. It's gonna be multi-plat, so being available on PC and on console is really tempering my expectations as to how well it's gonna work as an MMO. Like I know that 14 has its console iteration, but fucking, I don't know, man.
It works. It works fine with the PC. I mean, it's cross-platform
Well,
across
it
both.
works better with the PC. Is the problem? Like, how badly is the console version of that game gonna hold it back?
This is Wuthering Waves. This is like Epic's version of Genshin.
Well, I mean, it existed prior to the Epic acquisition.
What?
Wuthering Waves. I remember its original release prior to the localization was before the
Oh,
Epic
yeah.
buyout.
Well, yeah, yeah. What I'm saying is, like, this is the one that's like exclusively on Epic. This I saw someone playing this demo earlier.
Yeah, so one of the
Neo,
not
one of them.
to look completely into just Summer Games Fest, but it is also Steam Next Fest, which is when a whole bunch of demos come out for games that are either like really promising or just some random schlock somebody made on the weekend, positive or negative, like complimentary slash pejorative. Because some of the stuff on Next Fest is like someone put this up here as a joke, and then the others, so there's some other things on Next Fest that are like, holy shit, look at this thing. I've been scraping through, but I've not completed the entire list of demos put out. So I have to look through before the next demonstrables and demonstrables.
That's the thing is like you want to get on those demos now during Next Fest because
Because
you
some
never
of
know
them
when they're
go
gonna go
away
away.
after Next Fest. It's a little fucked. But yeah, this was another one
This
that
game
kind of caught my
yeah,
attention. The I have no mouth, but I must scream, uh, but claymation. But yeah, no, like this art style is
I
something
love the
that
art style.
like there's precious little that I can think that is like properly displayed, like handcrafted stop motion.
Yeah.
I know that that game that came out on Game Pass recently.
Oh, South of Midnight.
Yeah, South of Midnight. South of Midnight's cutscenes try to emulate that kind of stilted stop motion kind of frame rate, but
Hmm.
I'm trying to think of anything else that has kind of captured that like fully, like even in the gameplay. It's a hell of an effort.
I was gonna say, were you ever interested in the Mafia games? I didn't really have a care for them.
Not particularly.
Like, I really don't
There's
have a
that
care
one
for them.
bit that came from Mafia being a thing that existed that's really funny, but like I feel like Mafia 2 had like my attention for a weekend,
Mm.
and then I never played Mafia 3, and I feel like the thing was like at the time that Mafia 1 and 2 were coming out, I was getting back into playing GTA 4, and this was after 5's release. Like there was an
Yeah.
era where people
I
I was hanging
remember
out with were playing GTA
hearing
4
about it.
again.
I guess these games just kind of came out at a point where I was just kind of over the Grand Theft Autos and all those type of games. I was like, yeah, they're just not as fun
I
as
think
they
the
were
thing
when
that
I was like
reignited
13.
it for me was Sleeping Dogs.
Hmm.
And I was like, after Sleeping Dogs, I'm like, all right, I can play GTA again.
Because I didn't even finish five.
Five's
And I
all right.
remember, I remember liking five a lot, but at some point I was like, yeah, I couldn't do it anymore. And even now, like I know how everyone six coming next year. I was like, I don't give a shit. I was like, I could care less about a GTA game.
I feel like a GTA release is a benchmark in the industry just because of how successful the series has been. But I
Yeah.
also don't know how I feel about that game considering other recent news, which we can kind of go off on this tangent for. So I don't know how closely you've been watching the recent Borderlands debacle. So over the weekend,
Picture? Yeah.
Borderlands 2, which I think until today, so now it's just on sale. But Borderlands 2 was free over the weekend. Last week, Randy Pitchford made an ass of himself by calling out, like somebody was complaining that they really hoped that Borderlands 3 wasn't going to try to push the $80 price point that a lot of AAA games are pushing in the upcoming releases. And then Randy Pitchford personally just decided, oh, well, if you like the series enough, you'll make it work. So people
If you're
calling
a real
Randy
fan.
out, yeah, for being an asshole, which is nothing new.
And
But
then what does he do? He digs even deeper and he's like, hey, here's a game for you cost-effective fans. It's free right now if you want to get it.
yeah,
Like,
so they made Tiny Tina's fucking like the
oh
D&D
my
game, not the
God.
DLC, but the actual full game that came out. They made it free on Epic for that that weekend,
Yeah.
which isn't the big problem because
He doubled down. And I don't know how
Randy
their
doesn't
PR
get to
team is
make
not.
decisions for the publishers. Borderlands as a series is published by 2K and Take-Two Interactive. Take-Two is like a horrendous, horrible hell company, and they're awful. And I feel like they are like threatened by something that we're not aware of, behind closed doors. Because what happens is they make Borderlands 2 free this last week. I think from like the 2nd to the 9th.
I'm
Because
like,
Borderlands 2 was the last like critically beholden, like really solid, everyone loved it, fucking kind of Borderlands game. But
yeah.
they also update their end user license agreement and additional software that is downloaded alongside Borderlands 2. So, PSA, do not download Borderlands 2. If you have it downloaded, I wouldn't fucking run it because Take-Two has essentially made the game into fucking spyware because their new EULA forces anyone in a first world country essentially to agree to a non-arbitration clause, and by signing that EULA, by clicking yeah okay let me play the game, you give them the right to scrape all of your personal data, your computer's personal data, your geolocation data, the other information within your Steam account if you're buying through Steam. It's like insane the amount of shit that they are trying to scrape, and there's no reason for them to apply that to a 12-year-old goddamn co-op shooter that has no competitive mode. Also, if they detect that you have any kind of mods, your account is blacklisted and banned. Just casually over the weekend. For the PC version of a game that's 10 years fucking old. So, if nothing else, people have made mods to help the game run better on new hardware. Yeah, if Epic,
True.
or not Epic, but if Take Two and 2K decide to, through your scraped personal data that you agreed to give them by playing that game, if they detect that you are tampering with their software at all, your whole ass account is at risk. I know that went over time, and The Liza P DLC looks really good, but yeah, don't play anything that is published by Take-Two Interactive just ever again. I guess I don't know, man. Vote with your dollar. They come out to clarify that they're okay with mods that said they won't scrape data, which maybe Eric, not to address it like directly, I don't give a fuck what they said. I saw what's in their EULA. We won't scrape personal data, but you've given us the right to. I can go off on a tirade about this, but there are things that we can be positive about, like what's currently on screen. This game, Fractured Bloom, is awesome. Just the vibe of it. I don't know if it hit me harder just because I recently played through the We Harvest Shadows demo, and that's like a really emotionally resonant game that kind of is the same vibe of like, do the farming simulator, but also spooky shit is happening, and maybe you're insane, but maybe there's a ghost. It's fine.
Did he describe it? It was Doki Doki Literature Club cross like Silent Hill.
Yeah, so that's another thing. Jeff's quoting. It was a not a review, but there was an article written about this game, and I think the person who wrote the article just never knew that the like the idea of the genre of visual novel existed. So he's like, what's a visual novel? Oh, Doki Doki Literature Club, and it's scary, Silent Hill. This is definitely not those things. So you got like basic ass farming sim, but it's also like, if anything, it's an ARG where shit's just happening, and there is a greater narrative to it.
It does look very like mysterious.
It wears its inspirations on its sleeve. I'm fucking hyped for it, actually.
Is there a demo out for it?
No. Which is why I was really sad that... so we also went to the IGN Live event this weekend, and there was a playable demo there. I didn't get to it, and I wasn't able to go to the second day. So I'm just like, when that demo's out, if they decide to make the demo available before launch, I will play that on stream.
I'm sure they will. They would have to. With as popular as the demo was at IGN, when we were walking by and we saw the booth, even the second day, it was like still pretty packed.
So these trailers are like a subtopic of thing that I find completely dubious. Do you think that these games are real? I feel like they're not. I feel like things that operate within the, well, here's our attempts at a Hoyoverse competitor that will probably definitely be around.
What's crazy is that like Blade and Soul is an actual MMORPG, but they're like doing like spin-off games of the Blade and Soul franchise, which are like these cartoon anime ones like that we're seeing right now. And I'm like, why? Why are you doing all of this? And then this is the game that has the One Punch Man collaboration.
Yeah.
What the
so are these all one game? That was the thing I was dissociating in the middle of the thing.
Games.
All of these trailers had absolutely zero buffer between them, and they all kind of look alike. And then I'm like, oh wait, that's a One Punch Man villain.
Yeah, each one's a different game. There's like Blade and Soul Neo, like Blade and Soul like Heroes and stuff, and then there's this one.
But you can see the confusion where it's like all of these trailers were back to back with like a single black frame transition from one trailer to the next. I was like, did this just shift in tone, or is like what the fuck is going on? And then One Punch Man was there, and I turned my brain off completely.
Yeah, Saitama shows up. This game I absolutely do not care about. Didn't even care about the series, so...
I don't remember what this... Oh, Seven Deadly Sins, right. Hey guys, you want an anti-recommendation? Don't even hate watch Seven Deadly Sins. It's a waste of time. I don't know, man. I don't know how to feel about this continuing to be fiscally viable because it continues to be successful for some reason. I think people just really want like a solid replacement for Fairy Tail.
Just doesn't do it for me.
Or maybe they should just finish Magi.
Got to. That's a solid series that never got a proper end.
I'm gonna be real. I think that Seven Deadly Sins existing is purely the result of Magi not finishing its anime.
I could see that.
I have
I could fall
nothing
into
to
that theory.
make this claim. It is purely just the feel of like how that timeline worked out.
I don't know.
There's worse anime
I
games to
had
play.
nothing for this one.
There was a very so I'm a little saddened by the fact that the only glimpse of Witcher 4 stuff at SGF was the Unreal like medley thing where it's like, hey, look at all this shit that was made with Unreal 5. Isn't Unreal 5 great? Look at these textures. And there's gonna be like a separate Unreal like panel event or something coming up, right?
There was one.
Oh, okay, it already happened.
I think.
I don't know, but on that note, I am super hyped for The Witcher 4.
Yeah, I'm sure.
This is gonna be a good one.
How do you feel that it's no longer Geralt? Yeah, at the front.
So, I am, again, a big pedantic asshole where I get to say, hey guys, if you read the books, you would be surprised that it hadn't already switched over to Ciri. Because Geralt's only the protagonist for 2 of 7 books. Ciri's the main character. This is not surprising. So people don't even, like, think on the origin of The Witcher as a video game series. The Witcher 1 is a what-if game that came out after, I think it's the end of the 5th book. Somewhat spoilers for a book none of you have read or have already read. Geralt and Yen, quote-unquote, die at the end of the 5th book, except they don't, because the game series was so successful that the author decided to just continue this character, it's fine, it's okay. But The Witcher 1 was a what-if game that, like, what if Geralt woke up with amnesia in the world and you're just playing The Witcher storyline again. In 2, he's starting to run into more people, and then 3 reintroduced Yen. But the video game franchise reignited the interest in the book series because Andrei Sapkowski, I think that's how you pronounce his name, he has a completely separate fantasy novel series that kind of got prioritized over The Witcher for a while. All this to say, we are long overdue for Ciri to be the main character. And I'm glad to see it.
Because when you said Andre, I was like, Andre 3000 of Outcast? Nice.
No.
Oh, this is the new Yacht Club game.
Yeah, so this isn't really a new, like, this isn't a world premiere. Mina has been announced, like, forever ago, but this is, like, the most gameplay you've seen at any one time. I'm glad that Yacht Club's making a game that isn't Shovel Knight. Good for them.
I like the Game Boy color aesthetic that they went for with this one.
Yeah.
It definitely gives me Link's Awakening vibes.
Definitely. And I appreciate that they aren't just sticking to the NES era. That Mina definitely is more like Game Boy style of game, but also giving way more detail than any of those games could have possibly. Which is the Yacht Club vibe. Like nostalgia vision.
I definitely missed that part where it said demo out.
It's out for Next Fest. It's out. You can download it to play. So this bit on the stream is a lot quicker than it was in person. Because I don't know if it was just because of where we were seated. We saw intro AP guy like for the full run up.
Yeah, like he was like already waiting in place and he waiting for the queue, or it was just like, what the hell's going on there?
And he was on stage for like a bit longer than what they cut to. I appreciated this bit. It was fun. I didn't know what it was at first. This is the Deadpool VR game. The most notable thing about this trailer is that the intro bit that they did was acknowledging the fact that Silksong doesn't have a new trailer out anywhere.
And it never will.
They've got till the end of the year before it becomes a problem.
They did promise 2025. So.
They didn't promise Xbox promise.
which is them promising.
Promising on the potential for lawsuits. So the one other bit with the Deadpool VR game, I don't have a MetaQuest. I don't know anyone who does. Uh, I'm sure this is like one of the first games aside from like Blade and Soul or whatever the fuck the Sword and Sorcery style game is. That'll be worth your time if you have a MetaQuest. What's interesting is that they got Neil Patrick Harris to voice Deadpool, which I don't know if that's more or less expensive than getting Ryan Reynolds to do it.
It's probably less expensive because he would have asked for more money.
You know what? I don't know that
I
because
don't know with the three movies under his bag and stuff like that. And I guess with what recently
I
happened
think it
with
may
all
be
that
like base
stuff.
rate probably, but fucking at the same time, he also took a huge pay cut to make those movies happen.
Mm.
There's a reason he's listed as a producer more so than the star.
Well, yeah, I remember the first one he did that quite a lot. Like he definitely funded most of that movie. Dying Light.
How do you feel about Dying
I
Light?
played the first one. I enjoyed them, but never like was like super crazy about them. I thought they were fun games, but I guess this was at a point in time too where I was like, "Ugh, another zombie outbreak type post-apocalyptic world thing." There was a very particular era. Everything was like zombie this, zombie
Yeah,
that,
it
or
was the
outbreak
post
this.
World War Z movie. I think that like really was the tipping point
Did I like?
for zombie saturation.
Did I like what I played on the first one? Yeah, because I like the whole parkouring aspect where it's like you could jump up and ride around
Yeah, and I
or
know
run
that
around from building to building.
they expanded on the parkour aspect of it in two, but
Mhm.
I think I played like maybe 20 minutes of the first game before I had something happen where I fell through geometry and I didn't want to reload a save, so I just never played it again. I mean, for people who are down with it, cool.
Yeah,
I
like if you're
mean,
a fan of the series, obviously, and you're familiar with the first, because this is supposed to follow the protagonist of the first game. From what I've been getting, this is the protagonist from the first game, not like a brand new protagonist or from the second. It's like from the first game, like the events that happened to him after. So I was like, okay, that's cool. So it's like an indirect, or it's like a direct sequel, but not a direct sequel in order.
I feel like there's a lot of jumping the shark when it comes to zombie games. That like the second you start having to do like bioweapon esque shenanigans,
Mm,
like so few games aside from Resident Evil can really make that work.
yeah.
I feel like Dead Rising understands its limits and kind of sticks to like, oh no, it's just zombies. It's just them all zombies all the time forever. And then there'll be like one or two big things, and usually people are the boss fights in those games. But the zombie craze never I got really burnt out on zombie media. I think around the season 2 era of The Walking Dead.
That's fair.
Um,
It usually is a big shift for a lot of people. That's where a lot of people did drop the show.
it's just like
Season two
zombies
into
as an
season three.
allegory really is limited to like 2 or 3 different narratives, and they've all been done to death.
Mm. Mixtape. I don't know how I felt about this one either.
I feel like both of us, like you actually said it out loud, but like both of us are just like, oh man, licensed music, the game.
Yeah.
So like
Well, yeah, because
this is the
when
most you're gonna see of mixtape on either
on
of our
either of our
streams.
streams, because
Because
at the very end when they're like, "Oh, music by this artist and this artist," I was like, "You can never fucking stream that game without being claimed with every DMCA strike possible."
see now the baller
Unless
move
there's
would be if they pulled a fucking what's the White Owl Studio game that everyone was really down for, the rhythm beat 'em up, or no, it wasn't White Owls, it was the Evil Within devs.
I Rush.
Yes, Hi-Fi Rush. So Hi-Fi Rush is the biggest dick winner of this exact problem, because you have the base game, which has a lot of licensed music, but then they turned around and they had a original soundtrack that was so much better than the fucking licensed music version that I like everyone who I knew who played it all went for the off license soundtrack.
Streamer mode.
I mean, it is
Soundtrack.
streamer mode, but at the end of the day, with like the original soundtrack that they had is just
Yeah,
better.
it's just original OST. Yeah,
That was
I
another
hope they
thing
have
that was.
something like that for mixtape, but it feels like
I feel like that
the
thing is
songs.
defined by the. It's called fucking mixtape. It's going to be defined by the songs
Yeah.
that they pick to license for the thing.
Yeah, it's like
if
you're gonna
they
have to
do,
play
it's
with
cool.
like no music volume, or the volume at the bare minimum, just so you could hear, but maybe not in. It's gonna cause problem for
Well,
sure.
it's not a streamable game, which kind of limits how much attention we'll pay to it. But at the same time, it could be good.
Yeah.
There was a bit ongoing with this show, or not this show particularly, but like the Xbox and PlayStation like previews. A lot of trailers had licensed music that it like didn't feel like it fit at all. Like I feel like they're
The
just like
Xbox
we need to
Showcase?
use our
Oh my
budget,
God.
and
The Xbox Showcase was just a huge disaster if you were trying to live stream that. And
oh hey, if you're
like,
eagle-eyed, you'll see us in this shot.
yeah, you can see me and encrypted in that shot when they.
It's a Where's Waldo thing for
Outer
people who
Worlds
wanna.
2 is officially going to be the first $80 Xbox game. There you go.
Fuck that.
I mean, I'm not gonna pay for it. Didn't even pay the first one, so
Is it not going to be day one with Game Pass? Because I didn't pay for the first one either.
yeah. I mean, I'm just saying, like,
No,
if you're gonna buy it,
yeah, but the fact that like Obsidian is trying to pull that when like in reality they really kind of have to. It's going to be a hard sell to even engage with that game
yeah.
at all because of how kind of
What was
shit
this
the
game?
first one was. This is We Have Sifu at Home.
But
No, like no
Yeah.
offense to this game, but it's just like, man, this has been done already. Like,
except unlike Sifu, your character doesn't age you.
except yeah, there's fewer interesting ludonarrative mechanics and also guns.
Yeah. And he has. Anyways, he started blasting mid
I
fight.
don't like I don't know if you noticed, but like they really did cut and try to make that look like the hallway scene from fucking Old Boy for that one bit.
Well, I think this is a Korean game, isn't it?
I mean, yeah, but
Well, I guess that kind of makes sense.
they're
if you're trying to
wearing
pay
their
homage to that.
inspirations on their sleeve is what I'm saying.
Axe of Blood. That's what it is. Axe of Blood.
Also PC exclusive, which is interesting.
You're interesting.
Yeah, I know.
Tell me, Mr. Jeff Keighley, how are you doing? What was the next game that's coming up?
Oh yeah, it's
Oh,
the Scott
yeah.
Pilgrim game.
The new Scott Pilgrim game.
How do
I
you
feel
feel?
like I outplayed. I don't know why I thought
So
you
I
had
was
it.
I was
That's why.
really I was really into the Scott Pilgrim Xbox 360 fucking it was like a 360
the old
arcade.
beat 'em up. Yeah,
Beat 'em
the
up.
360 arcade. The one by Ubisoft that I forget that they had it locked up for years.
Yep. And then it became available again on the Switch without online multiplayer for a while, and then I think they got the online running for it, but I had reacquired it and then never played it again.
Yeah, I have it on the Switch as well. This game does look good. Like, I want to get, especially because it's not locked to Ubisoft this time around.
Thankfully.
So I would definitely want to support this right out the gate, like just because I loved the first game. I loved playing that with friends. So like just getting more of that, I'm like, hell yeah, that like I would love to play that. And I think they did clarify because remember I was confused. I was like, is it only 2 players? I was like, that's kind of dumb. No, but they later clarified there is 4-player co-op.
Yep.
I just don't know who the other characters
So
are.
what's the next bit coming up? Because I feel like there's a Mind's Eye took a billion years off my life.
Oh, this is all the IO interactives for
Yeah.
Hitman, James Bond,
Okay.
and then
There we go. Now we're back. How do you feel about Mind's Eye? Yeah, I'm also very about it. Apparently the dev went on some kind of tirade online about how the, like, pre-orders weren't successful because of, like, some kind of cancel culture shit. If I only half paid attention because I didn't know what the game was. But I feel like the most important part of this trailer is that they pulled Mads Mikkelsen out. Give me a second.
there's no way. There goes Le Chiffre,
There we go.
aka Mads Mikkelsen, aka Hideo Kojima's other boyfriend, aka Jeff Keighley's best friend.
I don't know if he's best friends with Jeff Keighley, but he's definitely like 1 degree of separation from Jeff Keighley.
Look, man, once they're all connected to Hideo Kojima and Jeff Keighley, they're all just best friends. Just like Norman Reedus.
I feel like Jeff Keighley
Yeah,
plays
well-
a very small part in that sentiment.
Just like Guillermo del Toro.
Guillermo
they're
del
all-
Toro.
They're all just besto friendos. Also,
But yeah, here's definitely been hanging out in California for a couple of days, Mads Mikkelsen. Oop, isn't
Not
that
at all.
fun?
So,
Anyway, Mads
Not
Mikkelsen
the
is
slightest.
cool,
Hi, Adam.
and
it was actually just really cool to just see him there because I didn't expect him to be there.
yeah,
But the fact that he's like still like cool with a bunch of the projects he's done in the past, especially this one, like James Bond, is one of the first times I like really saw him as like the prominent villain was in Casino Royale. Craig, I was like, that's freaking sick. And that movie's I didn't realize how old that movie is now.
it's like over a decade old.
Mm-hmm. Holy shit. Very
Weird.
sleepy. No. Well, yeah.
Mads Mikkelsen's cool. That's the whole bit there. I don't know if I'm gonna play that fucking James Bond game, and I'm definitely not playing the Hitman game because I'm not a fan of the way that is monetized.
The new one, yeah, I don't know. The fact that they made the base game free and then it's like you have to buy each chapter or upgrade thereafter. Yeah, it ends up being like $100-something for
It's
just to get all
significantly
of it.
more expensive than just putting out a fucking game, and I understand that it's a more monetizable thing, but
Mhm.
also that sucks for the consumer, and
Absolutely.
I'm kind of mad on Hitman after the last decade, so
I mean, I loved what they did when they brought back the Hitman, but then once they made this whole open world global thing, essentially you're literally competing against other people to get the best score, and then you're locked to only certain missions depending on what version of the game you have. That sucks. This game, though, I do want to play with people. Just
the
because it's
Lego.
Lego Party.
So the thing,
Yes.
have you watched anyone stream Pummel Party?
No, I've heard of Pummel Party, but
So
I've never actually.
this Lego game feels
watched it.
like, instead of trying to be a Lego Mario Party, it feels like it's trying to be Lego Pummel Party. Like it's a punching down kind of thing.
What? I didn't know that.
It just the vibe of it and the way that the mini games on the map look, it feels a lot more Pummel
Yeah.
Party than it does Mario Party Competitor. Which is weird because they're getting canceled, or they're getting a fucking console and also have access to all of the Lego licenses. So it's like, how much of a competition
Yeah.
could that really be?
Yeah.
So Wildgate is not Splitgate.
No, they're two different games.
I definitely remember. Oh no, I do remember this one. This is the
Wildgate is the one where it's like the snatch and grab thing, where you have to go into other ships, grab the whatever the
Is this an
objective is, and then get it to
extraction
your
game?
ship.
Because I don't think I've ever played extraction shit.
No. I wouldn't consider this an extraction game.
I mean, because like Tarkov's the big one that everyone talks about when they talk about
Yeah,
extraction.
this,
Like, is the
if I
concept
remember
not like
correctly,
get in, take the enemy team shit, and then get out? Not the vibe.
yeah, essentially that's what it is. But I don't know if they consider it an extraction game, but I mean that's what it feels like. But I know, yeah, that's like the thing they have. You're working to get
It looks
price
interesting.
or whatever.
I feel
Yeah,
like
whatever this chrome or this fucking golden snitch esque thing is. Um, I don't know. It didn't really do it for me, but also too because it feels very dependent on with people.
yeah, that's fair. I mean, the reason I've been so like hesitant to engage with a lot of I mean, again, most of this falls into the streamer slop category, but like extremely online co-op oriented stuff. There is a end, like there is an end of life cycle to it. Like there is a
Yeah.
maximum play like potential time, and
Yeah.
I like if I'm gonna play a game, I want to play a game that I can play at any given time. Like I started playing Warhammer 40k Rogue Trader recently, and that game's been out for years, and it's still
Yeah.
fresh and playable and good, and you know that's why I'm so like in depth with
Like
or like
I don't know.
I'm
For
in
me
with RPGs and offline shit because it's
to
like I know
play
that I
like
have this and I
online,
can play it.
yeah, like for me to play online games like that, like it really needs to be a game that you know. Like, look at Left 4 Dead. I could go back to this day and still find people playing that damn game
Yeah,
to
because it's
this
good.
day actively. And then there are games where I'm like, man, I want to play this, and then within like a year, they're already being taken down. And it's like, what the?
Well, I think there are
Like,
two
this is why
factors to that, and it's the
I
A,
can't get
quality.
invested in like online games.
Yeah, A, it's quality, and B,
Yeah.
it's the fact that Steam will continue to support their first party software forever,
Oh, absolutely.
at least within the confines of like what an online marketplace can allow. Like if you get
Yeah.
shit that is like a Ubisoft online only game is going to be gone within a year.
Yeah.
I mean, look at fucking. I think we learned this lesson with Concord because it's like everyone is so sick of the fucking always online hero shooter dichotomy that you literally need something as big as the Marvel license to have a successful one in the current age.
This game currently right here, ill.
Ill, yeah,
Ill is
ill.
when I'm so invested in like on like right out the
So
gate when I saw it, I was like, I was
as
all
much as I really enjoy the body horror, I don't know how this game is gonna play because uh everything that we see seems really like scripted in terms of like just movement and everything. Like it looks like, oh, we're trying to emulate gameplay, but no. Like I don't even know if this shit's running an engine. Like just the way that
yeah.
certain movement is dictated
Just certain
with
movements
the
do look
mutant.
very scripted to what they want to show
Like
off,
how is
which is why
the
like
horde of meat that we just saw going to react in like in game, like in real time?
like this is which is why I want to see more. But in terms of first impression, like what it caught me, I was like, this looks dope in terms of like the body dismemberment and what's going on, and just like the different like sizing and scale of like whatever you're fighting. I'm like, oh, yeah, like this definitely because I love so some of this stuff already, I was just like, oh, definitely, I would love to play this. I'm definitely gonna check it out. I just want to see more of the actual in-game like gameplay, like how it's gonna be in the moment to
Yeah,
are these moments just like how they felt in
it did feel very
the trailer, or
like
were those ones
cinematic.
just staged?
Like this, it
Yeah,
feels like cinematic trailer cut to look like gameplay, but definitely fucking isn't. I mean, it
of
kind
course.
of harkens back to like the vibe of Stalker and maybe
Yes.
even a little bit Metro, but this is definitely more like here is the meat of it all.
Excuse me.
So if they can maintain that and present gameplay that isn't terrible, then I think that it's just going to be a win because people generally like Eastern European body horror, which is a weird thing to say until you like really are like, oh no, yeah, no, just like horrible,
I didn't
like
realize that that game was being made by like a team in Canada and Armenia, actually.
which one?
Um, ill.
Ill. Okay.
Yeah, I didn't realize. I thought it was just Canadian, but no, mix of Canada and Armenia. Like, there's dev teams on each side that are in cooperation with each other on all that.
Well, it's that new like conglomerate publisher, right? What is it, Munfish or Munhook?
Yeah, Munfish.
Like there have been like 4 or 5 Munfish trailers in the Summer Games Fest presentation
In this
that are
presentation
all
alone.
like tonally very different. So I don't know,
Well, yeah,
maybe
the two Atomic Heart ones are Munfish.
well they are now.
Yeah, they are now. I should say.
The
Are
problem
you
with
gonna
that
play Mecha
kind,
Break?
I don't know. I don't know.
I
Maybe
want to give it a go.
I feel like the trailers that they presented have all been really like tonally different. Like this one felt a lot more like, hey, we're gonna try to be the Armored Core competitor. Whereas some of the other ones have been like, hey, look, it's a Gundam thing, and then hey, look, it's definitely maybe, hey, did you like Deus Ex Machina? Well, here's another game, even though there is a Deus Ex Machina sequel coming out.
Speaking of that Damon X Machina,
Damon Ex Machina.
that
Words.
demo that they had at IGN Live Fest, that was so good. That felt so good to play.
So to talk about IGN Live, because I feel like this trailer is taking forever. I was only there for day one, so we went to the. Well, technically, we did kind of stand there for the Daggerheart micro panel. IGN's panels were all really fucking short, which I know is like typical of the event, but it was a little jarring. So we stuck around for the Daggerheart presentation, which is the Critical Role first party new TTRPG, and they were talking about the online card crafter because that game is like very heavily centered on building up your character with the tool set. So there is just a free to use card crafter that you can implement into your games for Daggerheart. So alongside the general shift from like a D&D like Daggerheart does not have a strict initiative system, so you can have a lot more cooperative play. The book really heavily focuses on like world building and character crafting and interpersonal relationship character formation within the session zero guides. It's really interesting, and I like it's sold out right now, so I actually do want to get that book eventually, but I really want to find a group to run it with because on top of that, the core mechanics of the game, it's a dual D12 system, which nothing else fucking uses. The hope and fear mechanics of Daggerheart are super, super interesting, where you can shoot. Essentially, you can either run like a lower result that will have a better output because it's rolled with your hope die, or you can have a more successful result that gives the DM more tools to work with by rolling your fear numbers higher, which essentially become points for them to use in later battles or different stuff. There's a lot of really cool things about it, and I would love to do a TTRPG focused thing, but we that was the first like kind of panel we stuck around for. Then we went and saw the Critical Role 10-year anniversary panel. Hung out with Iceman and Blade Fireheart. They were in around that time, which was cool. Like if you watch Critical Role, just seeing the cast talk is fun. Even if you aren't, it's good to see the most recurring cast in any number of things because it's Matt Mercer and Liam O'Brien and Taliesin Jaffe, and Mercer doesn't have comparatively as much work as some of the others, but she's really solid. Yeah, just hearing them gas about stuff was fun. Although again, the complaint with IGN Lives panels were that I don't know if they can have a longer set schedule, if they have like the ability to make that work, especially with the venue. But everything felt like way too like 40 minutes too short. I don't know if you got that feel from it.
Yeah, well, it did feel very like rapid fire, and I don't know if it's because of just scheduling. I don't know if it was the venue per se. I wonder if it was just their scheduling.
I think it's their scheduling
on
because
two,
their panels are always around that short. I just don't think you can run an
because
effective panel for 20 to 40 minutes.
yeah, because on day two, they I didn't even realize that they were doing panels downstairs in the room to the left where all the narwhal thing was and all that. At the
Yeah,
very end,
there's
they were doing
a
more.
spotlight stage over
They were
there.
doing yeah, they were doing more out there. Those ones they were taking a little bit more time with, but it was all the ones upstairs in the theater that they were like blazing through more
Also,
because
my
those panels none of them went over.
not to
I
cut
want to
away,
say an
but
hour, if
the
that.
Kenny Omega cosplay commercial bit for
Oh,
the new expansion
this
for
was
Street Fighter was
so
so
amazing.
like
I fucking
seeing that
love the whole
happen in
thing where it's
person was
just
hilarious.
like I was sitting there for a second. I was like, "What the hell is Kenny Omega?" At first, I didn't realize. I was like, "Is he promoting like a new wrestling game?" And then
I'm
when I saw the Alex face, I was like, "Hmm, "Is this the new season of Street Fighter?"
There was part
And
of
then
my
you went
mind
to
that
see
was like, are
Peter.
they gonna do like a fucking Street Fighter the movie fighter with current WWE fucking cast people? Because
See, because then my other idea was Kenny Omega. That's gonna be so sick.
yeah,
And then no, it's just the season three reveal that he dressed up as everyone, and I was like,
if
"Oh,
Kenny
that
Omega
is
was a
so
guest star,
fun."
that would be a little jarring, but also whatever.
Yeah, why wouldn't you want Kenny Omega in your game?
But to finish up about the IGN live bit, they essentially had two floors which had a series of demo stands. Like some of them were a little more involved. Like there was a Rainbow Six Siege thing that had like 12 PC units all like lined up next to each other. And then there were a
Because the
couple,
game requires that many people at a time.
yeah. But then there was a Daemon X Machina 2 fucking demo, which was just very like they're doing a different vibe. It's not like full mecha in this one. It's more like power
Yeah.
armor kind of scale.
Yeah.
But the gameplay is still Daemon X Machina. So
Did you
I
play
thought it was,
around with any of like the builds in that? Dude, there was so much
I
variety of weapons.
I felt like the pressure of like being looked at by the by the demo staff guy. So I was making like a real like cookie build off the bat, and I found the heaviest set of legs I could find, which just let me like run full melee.
That's fair.
It's good. If you haven't played Daemon Ex Machina, it was
Yeah,
on the Epic Game
the
Store for a
first
while.
one.
It's good.
Well, the first one is good. The
I
first one
don't
is
know
good.
like if you can't deal with how fast AC6 was, then go play Daemon Ex Machina because it is a little slower paced.
Well, I'm surprised it's
Like
not on sale.
complimentary.
I'm
But
surprised the first one was
yeah,
not on sale.
I mean it was free on the Epic Game Store like 2 months ago. I don't know if they want
Yeah.
to.
No, I
But
mean on Steam. I'm surprised they didn't put it
yeah,
on sale. No, but the whole I will say I wouldn't say I was completely blown away by the event, but I did enjoy the IGN
yeah. I mean it
for
was
what it
fun.
was. I think just me personally, aside from the panels that we saw, I think I would have liked to have played more of the demo did, or just played more of the games that were.
Yeah,
Um,
it was
but the
unfortunate
thing is,
because we
since
tried
everyone was kind
to.
of spread around,
Yeah,
it was rough. It was hard.
I only got a couple of demos in because we were there for the first day, and then we wanted to go out to eat, and then we didn't go back in because at that point it had like the event had closed for
It
the
was
day,
already over. Yeah.
and then I ended up not being able to go to the second round, which is unfortunate. But you know, there weren't too many other things that I wanted to try out. There was like a really strange like tech demo thing for I think it's called How to Pet the Cat, that had like a
Yeah.
small couch sized like fully formed like cat butt.
Yeah, I want to say, chat. It's literally like something like this big. I want to say like, and it was like all covered in fur and had like a cat tail that
For
would
our audio
react.
only listeners, it's basically the size of an
And
ottoman.
you would have to like actually like tap it like the bongos on a fucking
Yeah,
like from the
it was
Donkey
like
Kong game.
pressure sensitive. I didn't get to try it, but it was just like, I don't know why you made this, but thank you for making this extremely strange thing for absolutely no one.
It was weird, but at the same time, it's
You got
also
a closer
intriguing
look
because
at
it
it.
was
Was
very.
the actual game like running through VR? Because I can imagine them like just being like,
But
"Here's a physical thing, so you have a better
it's
idea."
no,
But
it's not running through VR. Actually, when I was looking at it closely, it's like a fighting game. It's whoever pets the cat better, the bar at the top leans towards one direction or the other.
my question for this is
Or at least when two people were playing against each other.
how
I
do
didn't
you
see it single
implement
player.
this in a non-arcade setting? Because like if you need that setup to play the game, which you will have to, because
That's yeah, yeah.
it's like the flip the
That's
table
the other
arcade game. It's
thing.
pressure sensitive.
Yeah, that
Like
was the other thing. I was like, this would not work at home. You would need like this the entire arcade setup or a portable version at.
I don't know.
But I didn't see.
It
I didn't
might have
see
just
like
been
the
like a tech
concept. I
demo
get the
to
concept.
get like investor eyes, you know?
Yeah. Well, and that's the other thing too, chat, about the event. There were a lot of people from the industry there just kind of walking around that you could schmoozy up to like and talk with,
Yeah.
whether it was the IGN staff, some of the devs that were there for the games themselves. Some of the people I was talking to, or that I had met the second day, they're like, oh yeah, we're former employees from this company. We're here promoting this games, and essentially it became more like a network. It's like, oh yeah, if you're interested, reach out to us and let us know. We can see if you can get you in on the demo and all this and that. Um, and then of course, whatever I did request permission for,
It
because I plan to make a video
definitely
of some of the stuff, but but yeah, it was definitely. It didn't feel more like
it
it
did
felt more like
feel
a
more
way to
networking event
network.
centric, but then
But
it's like
yes,
a networking event that has tried to reach out to be bigger than it is, and
yes.
it might not be
Also,
there
too,
just
chat.
yet.
I know this is kind of weird because it's not like we bashed on the console itself. I will say the Switch 2 did feel nice to play because I did spend a good amount of time on the second day playing as much of the Switch 2 as I could possible with Mario Kart, with Yakuza. It feels great to play. The new Pro controller felt so much more comfortable than the Pro controller one. But I still can't justify getting it though. But at any point, if
Yeah,
the
at
chat,
ninety
like, if you guys
dollars, it's a
feel,
hard sell.
if at any point you guys do decide to get the Switch whenever it is readily available, I will say it is worth to get. Like, it did feel nice to have in hand and it, the camera and all those other accessories. I would not justify those, but the console itself with the controller, definitely worthwhile. They definitely felt great to play. Um, I didn't really get any stuttering issues with any of the games that I was playing. Mario Kart felt wonderful to play. I'll tell you that one. That I love the hell out of it. Um, the new
Yeah,
wall riding mechanics and the grinding in the holy shit, they give a new
I'm kind of envious that I
aspect to
wasn't
the
able to
races.
get the hands on for it. But like Ketchup says, the
Um,
Switch 2 needs more games before you can really justify the expenditure. My usual go to is
oh,
like,
of
hey,
course,
you need to spend as much as you would spend on the console on games that are exclusive to the console before
because
being
I
able
would
to
even
justify the
I would
expense.
even say it's, and I'm still on the fence about it. I was like, I may get it in because then we'll have the Donkey Kong, so that way I can switch between Donkey Kong and Mario Kart, but and also at the same time too, you'll have the GameCube on it. But even then, I'm like, I still think I could wait towards the end of the year to get it. There's just not a lot of games. And realistically, the one game that I do want to play isn't even out yet because it doesn't come out till next year, which is Duskbloods.
So to play the devil's advocate here for not being a Switch 2, Mark, there's not enough out for the console to justify it. The way that they're handling the initial release is also really kind of fucked. And I don't know how you can justify the expenditure of, like, you get the console, you get a pro controller, and you get a game, and you're spending $880 with tax. It's a really hard fucking sell when right now you
right
can go and acquire a Steam Deck that will probably run some of that shit better with emulators that are already available. So one thing I do want to highlight, this motherfucker on screen right now, Ian Prolix, whatever the fuck. Splitgate 2 has become the most divisive fucking announcement this whole weekend because this motherfucker walks out striding in like a MAGA-esque fucking make FPS games great again bit. Comes out, walks out on stage, is like, hey man, I grew up playing Halo, and also Call of Duty sucks now. So play Splitgate.
Give us Titanfall 3.
Yeah, we're waiting on Titanfall 3, so in the meantime, come play Splitgate 2, because it tries to be good. And, like, I didn't know anything about Splitgate prior to this announcement. Like, I'm standing here looking at this motherfucker like, alright man, that's a vibe. It's not one that I would particularly...
Connor turned to me and he's like, I mean, that's one way to do something, but I don't know about that. Like,
yeah.
You're like 2 steps from cancellation right there.
Because sitting in the crowd, it was really hard to see his stupid fucking hat. So I thought he was just wearing a fucking MAGA hat, and I'm like, this is not the crowd for that, my guy. Splitgate 2 looks interesting, but I did, like, I've seen people talk about 1 and how essentially 1 was a rug pull and was only up for a couple of months. So, like, to frame your competitive online shooter, like, I'm not against the thing. It looks interesting enough. It definitely is taking inspiration from a couple of different things. Like, you're definitely, like, even just the way the chests open up looks like, yeah, okay, Apex inspiration. You've got the portal mechanics, and you've got 3D movement. That is reminiscent of Titanfall a little bit, like maybe inspired by him, but not like directly.
The wall rides and stuff like that, yeah, is more Titanfall than it is Apex.
Yeah, I haven't played a lot of Apex, especially not recently.
The versatility of how they move around is more Titan.
But the other thing is that, like, you're launching this game free to play, and that's one way to do, you know, your basic marketing. But like the 3 goddamn DLC quote unquote DLC content packs that you can pay for are $30, $100, and then some other value I didn't check. Fucking, if you're launching a game with $100 macro transaction, because that is not a microtransaction, it's going to be really hard to justify that to people after you shut your first fucking game down after 2 months.
Yeah. And again, it's like one of those games where it's like the first game was the concept, now this is like the full-fledged idea, but
yeah, but like people spent money on that first game and they got their shit fucking run like after a couple months. How the fuck are you going to inspire people to actually interact with this thing when you're launching with $100 microtransactions? That I don't fucking get it. I don't get the perspective. I think that the irreverent fucking tone that he came out with to present Splitgate 2 is not a good marketing decision. I think whoever approved that shit really didn't think too hard about it. And it sucks because it looks like Splitgate has some quality fucking content to it. Like, the game looks good, but I just don't think, like, I feel like everyone's got to kind of wait to see whether or not this is going to be another fucking rug pull.
However, and then shifting tones from that, this game looks impressive as shit. Given it's another Yakuza game.
Oh yeah, fucking
the studio behind Stranger Than Heaven.
Stranger Than Heaven, the 1940s Yakuza title, is like,
I didn't realize. or I don't remember the first time they showed this off. It was supposed to be in 1915 when it was still Project Sentry. That first trailer.
I think they were going like
it,
pre-World War II, but now that it like they're what is it 43?
Yeah, 1943.
So
mid World War II.
It's a real interesting time to be around Yokohama. That's all I'm gonna fucking say.
And that's why I was just like, what the hell? But the game does look good though. I want to play it.
I'm a huge I'm a huge fan of like noir, just in general. Yeah. So to take that tone to Yakuza is a really interesting switch up.
Really cool.
Originally was going to be set to 1915.
Yeah. When he said that, I was like, oh yeah, that's right. That's when they first showed it off. It was in that during World War One, pre-World War One. So, oh yeah. Also, going back to the hands-on with the Switch 2 at the event, seeing Pokemon run correctly, I was like, oh, all it took was a.
Was there a Pokemon demo there? Because I've been seeing side-by-side comparison gifs, and they're like, hey, remember this this cutscene from inside the classroom with the child who's kicking their legs at 2 frames a second? Now they run at 30. Isn't that crazy?
And I saw someone make that joke. They're like, oh man, it only took a $600 patch to make the games run correctly.
This game run at 30 frames a second.
And I was like, no shot, dude. I was like, it's so true though. This reveal. How are you feeling about this reveal?
I think we might have skipped past the original bit. There was the
30th anniversary.
The 30th anniversary like confirmation with I forget her name, Maggie, the voice actress and model actress for Lady Dimitrescu was she presented like a message from one of the heads writing fucking Resident Evil, and they're like, yeah, no, the 30th anniversary is upon us, and you know, by like in a blink of it'll be a blink of an eye before you guys see an RE9 trailer. And we're like, oh man, the announcement for an announcement is such a shitty thing. Like I understand the need for it, but because at the end of the day, this is the end of Q2, so you kind of have to push hype, even if you don't have anything to show.
No, it's because he was like, because the way he said it, he was just like, oh, please bear with us as we'll have more news soon enough, you know, in the blink of an eye you'll see more from the newest Resident Evil.
Yeah, but watching this live,
that's all we can talk about.
Watching this live is like the thought process goes to like, okay, I know that they had to say something or else the investors would have a problem because you'd be ending Q2 without a new release, and Monster Hunter Wilds is not getting anything new paid aside from the most recent DLC. So I get like the you know, the Capcom overlords are like, all right, we gotta make an announcement even if we don't have anything. But then this trailer started, and at first I'm like, is this an Evil Within sequel?
That's what I thought. I was like, is this Evil Within? This can't be.
Because I don't know, I think it might just be the color palette and the transitions that they're using, but it feels a little Evil Within.
The thing that threw me off was the guy in the hoodie that you see that like flashes in. I was like, that's very Evil Within.
Well, also, like, you're actually at the FBI.
Yeah. But also then looking at, like, the facial animations and, like, actually the facial technology, I was like, but this doesn't seem like that. This is very Capcom-esque. And I was like, but, all right, whatever. Didn't think anything of it. So I was sitting here, I was like, what the hell?
Also, there was preamble from Jeff saying like, oh, this trailer is from a storied developer. So I'm like, okay, is this the Square Enix thing? No, the Square Enix thing was
then when I saw this, I was like,
in-game.
Jesus, this place has been nuked to all hell. And then of course when you see the shot, the one shot that, like,
and then half of the audience started gasping at that shot, and then the other half of the audience started gasping at that shot
right there. Everyone was like, no way. Everyone just lost their mind. Obviously during the presentation you can't hear it, but with being at the show, everyone just and then this popped up, RE9. lost it. Everyone just was like, "Oh shit, they did it!" I was like, "Of course."
Because
Of
like
course
20
he would
minutes
mean in the
earlier, we
blink of
were
an
like,
eye.
we're not going to hear about RE9 till next year. And then 20 minutes later, we have Resident Evil Requiem's fucking trailer play.
We literally hear about RE9. And I was like, oh. Amazing.
Oh, hey, eagle-eyed fans from that last shot could have seen me and Beyond.
And February, I was like, yo, February? That's 10 months away.
It's pretty soon. It's
8
less than
months
10.
away.
That's, yeah.
I was like, that's 8 months away. I was like, that means they started that immediately after 8. But now I just want to know what the grand, because the way he described this game it's supposed to be huge. Like from what he said he saw earlier in the year, he said that game looks big comparatively. Like, so I'm sitting there, I'm like, okay, so is it gonna be somewhat like of an open of Raccoon City, like all of Raccoon City?
I want to know more about like
portion?
what the narrative branch is here and how we're going to be relating to the last couple of games, because
I did find out, I guess on the website, someone I saw a video of it. Someone was report. Apparently, this takes place 27 years after.
Yeah, because the protagonist is Alyssa Ashcroft's daughter, right?
Yeah. Yeah, so everyone was doing the math. Leon would be 48 at this point. Because I forget he was only 21 at the of RE2.
Yeah.
So I was just like, oh god. So if he's 48, that means Chris and all them would be in like their 60s or late 50s. So I'm like, oh, okay, so are they gonna do one of those where they're gonna bring in
speaking of RE, that is also on sale. You can get
oh yeah,
you can get RE7 and 8 with all of its DLC for $20 right now.
Yeah, if you guys haven't gotten RE at all on Steam, you can get all those games for dirt cheap right now.
So aside from Summer Games Fest, because we did burn through
Leon and RE2 ain't no 21. Yeah, technically not supposed to be.
Nah, he's like fresh out of like the academy. Like, okay, so every Resident Evil protagonist is like a genius, and they like zipped through school and whatever training they did way faster than any regular human being would have. He is straight up 21 at the start of 2.
Yeah, he's 21 in RE2. I remember they when they went to say originally he was 18 or 19, but they're like in the grand retrospect of things, like if you wanted to be, I had to go through like the academy and all that first, so he couldn't have been that. But he's 21 in the games. And then let's see. Oh yeah, I was gonna say, I was like, did anything else stand out from you?
An SGF, aside from the indie horror games that were mentioned, that I mean, I'm a big Resident Evil fan, so the fact that there's another numbered game coming out within a year is fucking insane.
That's like one thing I'm already like super looking forward to.
I'm real hyped for it. I might stream a replay of 7 and 8. Maybe, potentially, but yeah, there some of the lower key announcements are really where most of my focus was. Like, I'm not sure like there's anything like aside from Resident Evil that's like crazy like pushing for my attention. There are some of the other announcements that were made over the weekend. I know I'm playing the Xbox bit, but like the PlayStation State of Play. The one thing I wanted to mention there is that like I feel like there is a like there's an extra push to be negative about the PlayStation State of Play just in general. Because I went and I watched that presentation with zero expectations, and we walked out with a fucking remake of
Final Fantasy Tactics, and a new goddamn Suda 51 game. And
Final Fantasy Tactics like remaster, I absolutely lost.
How
like
is anyone pissed off?
As soon as I saw that reveal, I was like, okay, sick. And then when they dropped the collector's edition, I was like, pre-ordered. I immediately just pre-ordered it. I didn't give a fuck. I was like, I'm pre-ordering it right now.
Is that another limited run pre-order?
No, it's straight through Square Enix.
Oh, okay, good. I'll actually buy it then.
It was straight through Square Enix. Like, they're the ones doing this. Also, Deadman, the Capcom sale is going on until June 19th.
Yeah.
Any and all Capcom titles are available for sale. That's Devil May Cry. That's Street Fighter. That's Resident Evil.
That's also
Monster Hunter. Ace Attorney, the Phoenix Wright games, I should say.
There's a bunch of the Capcom Arcade stuff too.
Yeah, so if anyone's interested, check out those. I would just say if you're interested at all on anything that was presented over the weekend, go to Steam, check out all the different because they have a particular tab that's the summer showcase of summer showcases.
Yeah, there's like there, 15 all the different available things. So aside from the big ones. Aside from the big stuff like SGF, there's also the women-led game dev projects. There are the Latin Games Fest. There's the Southeast Asian dev fest. There is also right now, as of today, Steam Next Fest Summer 2025 is happening. So there are demos for hundreds of upcoming titles. Some of it's schlock, some of it is just like, oh, hey, this is a weekend project for me as an individual person. And then some of them are like, holy shit, how is this not at any of the other announcement shows? Because like there's some stuff of quality up on Next Fest.
Me and Cryptid here spent a good time last night just looking over. And we were impressed by quite a lot of the titles out.
There's some recurring titles, so there's some stuff from last Halloween Next Fest that have come back. Some of the things to note about Next Fest demos in particular is that some devs only have their demo up for the Next Fest period. So if you download them ahead of time, make sure you play them before they are before the license is revoked. Yeah, I mean, aside from
the state of play, Tactics, obviously.
Tactics
Romeo's a Dead Man.
Romeo's a Dead Man. If y'all have not played any of the Grasshopper Manufacturer or Suda 51 titles, it is tonally pretty similar, but this is a whole new thing, and new Grasshopper game is always a good thing.
And then the other big one, the Marvel took on Fighting Souls.
Yes, that was
those were like my big three, the ones that I would take away.
Arc System Works doing a 4x4 fucking Marvel fighter is bonkers, and I look forward to its release.
I love the aesthetic that they've given all the characters. Like they didn't try to make them look Marvel versus Capcom.
No, they tried to make them look like Arc System Works characters.
Yeah, they made them, and I'm excited to see more. I want to see more of the characters. Pragmata finally making a return.
Pragmata, after 5 years of silence, there's another trailer. I don't know how I feel about that. I think we have to wait until that game's actually out, because I'm sure that has been completely remade from square one 3 or 4 times behind closed doors.
And I guess the final one for me from the state of play would be the Bloodstained sequel, whatever it is.
I almost forgot about that. There is a new Bloodstained game, and it is not a new Bloodstained spin-off. So I'm down for it.
That's what I was wondering. I was like, is it a direct sequel to the first one? Or
well, it's not the same characters. Like, there was Curse of the Moon, which was a direct prequel, and then Curse of the Moon had a sequel, which was weird. But these are at the very least new cast characters in your Castlevania style.
Is it gonna be tied? Is it gonna be tied into the first one, or is it its own story? Like,
well, I mean, I'm sure that the narrative is related because it's a sequel, but it's Iga. That's all that matters. It's an Igavania, which there is.
My big takeaways from the state of play.
Relevant distinction is when Iga is behind the wheel, it is better.
But yeah, aside from that, there was we had the Xbox showcase playing. There's not anything too mind blowing here.
For
There,
me, the one big takeaway or the one big standout for me was Clockwork Revolution from this
yeah,
Xbox
we
showcase.
can probably just skip right to that. They announced the ROG Ally, which is going to be a Steam Deck
Right. The
competitor.
quote
They
unquote the Xbox, the first Xbox. It's just a
uh,
ROG Ally that has the
that
Xbox on it. I
has
really don't.
so it has integrated support for Game Pass, which is kind of a big deal, but it is also like the
Yeah.
most expensive version of it only has 24 gigs of RAM. So how well that's going to work?
I have no
It's
idea.
gonna work a lot. Yeah, we'll just let that play. It's gonna work a lot better than trying to do anything with cloud processing. I can guarantee that because I did try to make cloud gaming with Game Pass work, and that shit just cloud processing is not something that we have the infrastructure for, and I don't think we ever will because it requires both up and download capacity that I don't think any service network is capable of providing over Wi-Fi.
You pay lots and lots of money for your own private lines.
Even with that, there's still inherent latency between
Hmm.
inputs and
Oh yeah,
what you get on the screen. Like you really,
there always will be.
if you're not downloading the game directly to the hardware, if you are processing both the game and inputs back and forth, there will
Hmm.
always be some degree of inherent latency. And not to abuse or use the FGC as like a meme for it, but like literally, if your ability to play a game is determined by your ability to read and react to frame data on the measurements of 144 fucking 144 of a second, then you're not gonna play shit over the cloud effectively. It's not gonna work.
True.
But yeah, actually, just to fucking pause there. The basic one is it's got a Ryzen Z2A card, 16 gigs of memory, and 512 gigabytes of storage. I don't know if that's going to be enough for anything really. The Z2 Extreme card, 24 gigs of memory, and 1 terabyte of storage is kind of becoming this is approaching the baseline of a lot of PC produced games. I don't know if this is a great standing point to launch the upper end version of your console with. We can skip through those.
Oh yeah, Super Meat Boy 3D
Super Meat Boy
was
3.
announced.
Oh, you know what? I do want to
That
look at
Game
this.
Freak game. Yeah, that Game Freak game that was announced.
God damn it.
I don't know how anyone feels about this because when I saw it, I was like Game Freak, as in like the guys with Pokemon.
So,
Is that what
if
that is?
anything, I kind of want to just watch this trailer because this is what Game Freak presents to, like, convince you to
Oh,
play a non Pokemon game from them. And I'm just like, this isn't the stream. The frame rate differential is just what the game is. And I understand that Game Freak has an internal dev cycle where every time they put out a Pokemon game, they're like the individual teams are allowed to go forward and make side projects and prioritize those projects between major Pokemon titles. But like, dog, if your cutscene's running at 20 frames a second, what are you doing? Why is that the version of things you're presenting?
like I don't know why. Like, didn't anyone look at that and just said, "Yeah, run it"? Like, how did you think that
Because
was a
this
good
is the most
idea?
consistent a frame rate has been from a Game Freak game. Like, so I don't know.
Yeah.
Is it too crazy to say that maybe the devs over at Game Freak are living in a world that can only be processed at 24 frames a second? Is someone working there with the sincere belief that people can't see past 30 frames a second? Because there are stupid people
Probably.
who like fully subscribe to that idea that the human eye
Yeah.
cannot process more than 30 frames, which is just not true. The game looks interesting, maybe, but I'm getting like
evoke like Beast of Reincarnation. I'm getting the same kind of evoked feeling that I got from the original trailers for Forsaken, where the game looks cool and the visuals look cool, but that thing launched with shitty writing constantly, always in your ear forever. So I hope that it launches and has a consistent 30 frames per second fucking basic frame rate with any degree of processing running it.
If it's day one on Game Pass, I'll give it a try, but I'm not spending.
Yeah, I don't know, but I feel like it's really hard to be fair with Game Freak because of how shit their general output is. And they will never learn from their mistakes because Pokemon is just the like most fiscally successful franchise on the planet. It's like not allowed to fail, so they're not allowed to learn from their mistakes. So yeah, Clockwork Revolution is the game that I think everyone who watched the original announcement trailer for BioShock Infinite wanted.
I didn't see.
It's in Exile. Okay.
It's in Exile. That's
I have to look into some of the background details of this because I feel like it evokes a vibe that I feel I feel very familiar with.
The way you like this beginning portion is, it's like obviously your character, because the guy goes in saying, "Someone mugged me," and the officer's like, "Okay, well, what does it look like?" That's obviously you setting your stats and creating the character who's the main character.
I appreciate in interior ludo narrative fucking in media res presentation of your character creation.
So I was just like, oh, okay, that's a cool way to bring the character to life. So that's what I was saying. I was like, this gives me like some
also, I feel like it was really intentional, but the creative character that they made for this it looks exactly like Dorian from Dragon Age Inquisition.
I wouldn't know.
I have to see if there are devs in common.
But yeah, so it gives me some Fallout vibes, gives me BioShock Infinite vibes, as well as some Dishonored vibes.
So the go-to term for the style of game is immersive sim, which is the genre subtype that came out of Deus Ex, the original thing. Like Warren Spector called that an immersive sim game as opposed to a narrative FPS or something along those lines. But there are very specific stipulations to what creates an immersive sim, and this looks like it has both the RPG mechanics and if there are multiple ways to tackle particular problems, which the presentation of what the narrative is after the fact really makes it seem like that's the case. This is probably the first like AAA immersive sim in this decade. Or wait, what side of 2020 did Prey come out on? Because that's the last one I can think of. Sure. If Deus Ex crossed paths with BioShock, yeah. I mean, BioShock it kind of skirts the line on like what is an immersive sim because it is a straightforward narrative game. There's not a lot of variability in how individual like missions can come out.
What I find interesting is how the time mechanic's gonna work.
Rebooted Prey was 2017. Okay, yeah, then yeah, the statement stands. I like immersive sims are good generally. If people debate on whether or not something is inside of that genre, it's usually because it's a quality fucking thing. I like this style of game. I like the vibes that this is evoking. It's doing good time mechanics. I really hope that they don't fuck up the story with it because it's really easy to fuck up a narrative with time travel being the crux of what moves your plot forward.
Or I do hope, like, depending on how you play it, yeah, there's multiple time like differences. Like if you kill a certain person, this happens. But if you kill them, you go with this person. I do hope there's like multiple paths of like this time play. It
really just evokes like what I thought BioShock Infinite was going to be when that first trailer was announced.
You know, BioShock Infinite played well. The story was good.
I would debate even that.
Well, you didn't like the way it played?
I did until they had 2 DLCs that were like boss
I never
rush
played the DLCs.
kind of things.
I literally only played the base game. And what was another one from
Anyway,
this presentation?
I mean, there's the last trailer in the presentation, which we can just skip right the fuck to because of how
No,
like
there
dissonant
was that
it
one
was.
that actually you said you were curious about. I didn't really pay attention to it the first time around. But then when we saw it, there are no ghosts at the Grand.
Oh, also the weirdness of the Age of Mythology trailer, where they're showing a bunch of fucking Romance of the Three Kingdoms characters and Chinese mythology things, and then they're like, from the new Japanese perspective, and I'm like, that's not what that is. And apparently they're adding a whole bunch of Asian cultures to Age of Mythology, but the only one that was said out loud was Japan, so it threw me through a loop.
Oh, this is that Mudang game.
I'm gonna be real, I don't even remember watching this trailer.
Yeah, remember we were talking about like, what was it that we were comparing this to? There's one where it's like you're this officer in Korea, and he had the yellow like glow.
Wait, what?
Yeah, watch. Like we
Mudang looks fascinating, but it's so confusing. The only Mudang I know is an angry little hippo.
Well, if you skip forward a little, you'll understand. It's the one where it's like people are zombies or something like. And your office, this guy goes in.
My brain did not record watching this first trailer the first time. I do not have any memory of this. The fuck?
Yeah, like this is like so weird. Yeah, it's like it looks espionage-esque, but then like all of a sudden it like completely transforms and yeah, I think it has to do with that. Yeah, this thing where like
I saw the I remember seeing the black substance.
The goop.
I don't know what this is. What the fuck am I thinking of? A weird mix of MSG and RE. Like, yeah, I mean...
Yeah, I could see that.
Oh, you know what it was? We were thinking of the game that pretended to be an MGS game. Left Alive.
Oh, Left Alive.
Yeah, it looks like Left Alive.
The Square Enix one, and so we all know how that one went for them.
Cue the Mudang Chibi-Doki sound bit that I didn't set up.
I know I saw you like scroll over. There are no ghosts at the Grand, like somewhere right here.
There's Planet of Lana.
It's before this. It's before this. Yeah. Yeah, I was right there.
Yeah, there it is.
Right there.
Okay. Oh yeah, there was this fucking thing.
Oh yeah.
I have no strong opinions about Aphelion. Aphelion looks like they wrote a really dramatic script and then they made a really goofy fucking looking visual to go with it. It's really tonally dissonant to me. It looks like Uncharted in Space. It looks like Uncharted in Space as presented by PBS.
Yeah. This game though definitely didn't catch my eye the first time I saw the showcase because I guess I didn't. But when we were watching this last night, the second go around, I was like, "Oh yeah," because then Connor started explaining some whole thematics behind some of this, and I was like, "Oh yeah," and it looked actually pretty.
I dig the vibe of it, like the reconstructive, like the internal magic of just being within a space. I'm trying not to. It's a weird vibe, but like I kind of dig it.
Yeah.
It is definitely like in the same like aspect as Viscera Cleanup Detail almost, but with a little more story.
Yeah. It's like you're resetting the area to the past.
It's like you're using the Half-Life move shit around gun to make your neighborhood better.
Right.
The musical aspect of the game is odd but fitting. Yeah. I
Absolutely.
There's some thematic notes that I kind of want to hold back on until like I actually play the thing. It's interesting.
The kitty cat obviously had to be a big fucking player.
I mean, you're gonna put a skull face on a cat, and you don't think that's the main character? Of course, that's the main character.
I mean, Yeah, this is where I was.
And it's
just
like
what
it
the
suddenly turns Eldritch is where like I did not expect.
hell? Yeah, that's why I thought it was gonna be some like comfy, cozy game. All of a sudden, it just haywire, and I was like, "What the hell happened?" That game does look interesting, though.
Cozy Eldritch is a vibe that I dig so fucking much that I don't like. I don't know why there's not more of it.
I mean, obviously, another big one was the P4R reveal, but
that is coming up. So I can just air my grievances about the P4R reveal, if you can even call it that.
That was such a.
This is the Age of Mythology thing. We can skip the fuck out of that. If you like Age of Empires, I applaud you for your patience. I don't. What? That's the Fallout 76. Yeah, the Fallout 76 DLC where you get to fish and farm more effectively.
World premiere. That's the solo leveling.
I feel like we can skip the solo leveling thing because here's every thought I've ever had about solo leveling. It's not good, and I feel like the fact that it's gotten as much industry push is a fucking psyop because Sony owns everything now. And I don't know if they just got a really, really good deal on the production of that anime, but fucking I don't know how that won Anime of the Year the same year that Frieren came out. This is bullshit. The story's like I don't want to sing the praises of Sword Art Online ever, but it is just Kirito again, but worse. It's like if Kirito's character was not tempered by other main characters.
I got nothing. I never watched. I never read any of Solo Leveling.
So. You're better off.
I got nothing on it.
And the thing that sucks is like the idea has been done better by other like smaller scale series. It's just that this is the one that got the push. This is the one that had some.
Truth be told, what did piss me off though is that this one Anime of the Year over for Crunchyroll, and I was like, I don't care.
Yeah.
How
I was saying that in a year that both Frieren and fucking Dungeon Meshi came out, you're gonna tell me that Solo Leveling was the Anime of the Year? Get the fuck out of here.
I was like, there's no way. I was like, I don't care how good the animation, because that's all I ever hear from everyone is the animation.
Crunchyroll Awards, more like Crunchy Rigged Awards.
And I was like, the Frieren, I guarantee hands down is always a better story, regardless.
The one thing I will say about the Solo Leveling game is that the narrative really does kind of play into gameplay more than anything. Not in like the Ludo narrative sense, because the Ludo narrative sense is that this guy doesn't understand what video games are, so everything is presented to him like it's a mobile game daily fucking quest, which extremely like just grosses me out as someone who's seen this done better, because this is the one that got popular, really. But maybe the game will actually be fucking fun if the gameplay is good. Maybe you can just skip all the cutscenes and ignore all the cringe if you just do basic-ass fucking dungeon crawl third-person action game. There's potential for that game to be good. I just think that the source material is bullshit.
All I know is that game is a mobile game, technically, already. Solo Leveling Arise is already
inside its own narrative, Solo Leveling is presented as a mobile game.
Jesus. And then here we have what was it called? Animo or something like
we have Pal World at Home.
Animo is what it's called. Yeah, this is just another Pal World.
Do you think that Nintendo won't sue them because this one doesn't have any guns or drugs or slavery in it? Or do you think that the legal department is really just gonna fucking go after them?
There's still weapons.
You're not,
maybe not guns.
You're not having your Pikachu stand-in make an AK-47 by giving it drugs to power through the night.
I'm just saying that's the best aspect of that game.
Or the ball throwing mechanic Nintendo apparently patented. Yeah, I feel like
the fucking mount mechanic that Nintendo apparently fucking patented.
They did not patent that. There are other games where you ride monsters. Fucking stupid.
They tried to, and I was like, wow, Power World really had to get rid of that too.
Also, the most shocking part of the Xbox presentation was how fucking old Tony Hawk is, man. I feel like they put him in old age makeup for this interview. Like holy shit,
they put him in prosthetics.
This lighting is not complimentary. He doesn't look this bad in person.
Man,
And still go, he's a grandfather now. I mean, he is, but like I was having this conversation with Beyond where it's like I can't let my perspective of Tony Hawk be that he's this old, because if he's this old, I'm old. We are all old because Tony Hawk, the man who is eternally 27, is now like 60 something.
He's getting up there.
And if he's getting up there, that means we're getting up there. And time is horrendous and cyclical. And,
I mean, yeah. Outside of like what we already mentioned, I don't have anything else left in terms of what stood out to me over the weekend.
We didn't actually talk about the Persona 4 thing.
Right.
Oh yeah, I skipped over it instantly because it was a 20-second trailer. So Persona 4 the remake again is a problem because Persona 4 is one of my favorite games of all time. It's the game that really, like, I played P3, but I didn't like hook back into the rest of the Persona games and Shin Megami Tensei games by extension until I replayed 4 and then replayed Golden.
Yeah.
So the fact that this is being presented the way it is, that everything is like super saturated, is like when the color scheme of a game that is established by its aesthetic, as the rest of the modern Persona series is, especially with the dog commercials that come in right then and there. That's crazy.
You remember every day is a good day at Junes. That's what that dog commercial.
Every day's great at your Junes. Thank you. So the fact that everything is like so much brighter. This is the entire trailer, by the way. You have like 5 seconds of a walk cycle.
From 2 different angles.
From an angle and a half. Like that is how quickly we just circled through this shit. So Persona 4
goes from behind to front.
Has an aesthetic that is relevant to its narrative. Things are fuzzier and more like drained because the ongoing like weather situation is tied into the narrative. I am not going to go into spoilers because I think that legitimately Persona 4 Golden is the best game to get people into JRPGs, short of major Final Fantasy. But again, that I think that's a difference of tone and taste. Because it's way easier to get people into something that takes place within the context of the real world and then expands into magical realism. Persona 4 has already been remade. Persona 4 Golden exists. Persona 4 Golden exists on Steam, available now, available to purchase and play. It's $20. It is a PlayStation Vita game. The game is... Like, so Persona 5 has had problems with Royal. I'm not going to get into it again because of spoilers. And the Persona 3 Reload has also presented some things that I think are not as good as Persona 3 FES. But there are so many iterations of Persona 3 that it's really hard to lean on one in particular as the correct consumption of that game. Because there was the original Persona 3 FES, which added the answer at the end. Then there was Persona 3 Portable, which integrated a new storyline with a female protagonist, which they did not bring back for Persona 3 Reload. And then there's Persona 3 Reload, which has added a new storyline that follows Aigis at a pivotal point that is spoiler heavy, so I'm not going to go into it. Persona 3 is a minefield all its own. It did need a remake because it was hard to play that game. Just from a quality of life standard of how the gameplay actually played out. It needed a remake. Persona 4 Golden does not really. Persona 4 Golden is fine. It did not need a remake. The other point B on this is that Atlas has been milking the absolute fuck out of the last 3 Persona games for the last decade. It has been a decade since the announcement of Persona 5. we need a new fucking Persona game. Like that's the long and short of it. We need a new fucking game because the number of spin-offs and remakes, and now this is a second remake. Like bringing it to a new platform would be one thing. This thing exists already.
I'm not gonna lie, I'm getting a little goddamn tired of just remake after remake after remake. I'm like,
we say that, but the other game that I played at the IGN thing was the Raido Kuzunoha and the Soulless Army fucking remaster.
It's a remaster.
That's a game that's really difficult to find and play. So that is the
getting a remaster like Tactics. Like, okay, see, this is the difference.
Yeah,
Tactics remastered and Raido deserve their remasters.
There are quality of life features and gameplay aspects
on PlayStation 2.
Yeah. That
like,
have
one's locked behind the PlayStation 2. Tactics, depending on which version you're playing, can go one of two ways. Tactics on PlayStation played wonderfully. Story translated garbagely. Tactics on PSP story translated beautifully and correctly, played like garbage because they took out a lot of the features from the PlayStation.
Yeah, there was really low effort localization back then.
So the remaster takes the gameplay of the PlayStation with the story translation of the PSP, mashes it together to give you this enhanced version.
Also, straight up, try to find a copy of Raido Kuzunoha and the Soulless Army for less than $180 on eBay, and a console to play it.
Those get remastered. Understandable. And
also, there are legitimate quality of life features being implemented in those remakes.
Of course, but these remakes, I'm just getting tired of it because I'm like, this literally tells me you guys have no other idea, so you're just gonna rehash your old games.
I wouldn't go that far. I would not.
No,
go
that's
that
how
far.
I feel. That's personally how I feel. They just have no other
feel
ideas.
That way. But again, I don't think that's totally the case because Metaphor Refantasio exists. I think they're fed up with the Persona series as well, which is why we haven't gotten.
That's why I'm saying, like, that's a good idea. Like, they came out with a brand new IP, was successful. Me seeing P4R, I was like, why? And your fucking reveal trailer was fucking ass.
So
I have no hype for it. Had that been a preview for P6, I would have been like, okay, here now we're talking. P4R, but the fuck do I care? I was like,
what I need to say about Persona 4, aside from the fact that yes, the fucking trailer was nothing. It was 5 seconds of a walking cycle in a really so the fog and the fuzzy dreamlike aspect of the town that Persona 4 takes place in is important to the narrative. So by increasing the ray tracing level of reflective surfaces and you're saturating the fuck out of everything, that kind of shows that the people who are pushing this do not give a fuck about the literal narrative of Persona 4 specifically. Oh shit, I went back. But yeah, so the other problem with Persona 4 specifically is in the depiction of specific characters. Because Persona 4's narrative and a couple of the characters presented have aged kind of poorly depending on what degree of media literacy you as a consumer have. Because people who do not think about what the media they're consuming is, what time frame it came out in, the ultimate narrative of who or what or when or where or why of it all, and they're just I want this version of events to be true. I want my interpretation of this character to be the legitimate one. Those kind of people are there is online referred to as the Persona 4 problem, which is the depiction of both Kanji Tatsumi and his narrative, as well as Naoto. They both.
Do you think Naoto will be in this? Do you think they're gonna go based off of base people?
Naoto's a fucking character, dog, in the main party.
No, I'm just asking. In general, do you think they're gonna go based off the remake of base P4 or P4 Golden?
I don't know. That's the thing. There are technically 3 storylines that they could pick from because the Persona 4 anime does make some slight changes. So the problem is that there are definitely there are jokes and there are bits that are played throughout Persona 4 that are of the time, but by today's standards would be considered like problematic or like some of them even homophobic. There are greater plot details with specific characters that are definitely like debated over, but like it's an argument that's presented so insincerely that from my perspective, I don't want to have this fucking conversation again because it sucks to have. Like Kanji Tatsumi is one of my favorite fucking characters, and when people talk about his storyline, the way that they talk about it, it's not only like by erasure, it's just straight up like an incorrect summation of his character, and to a lesser extent, the same is presented with Naoto because of the way that they are presented at first. People like to ascribe things that they resonate with to characters, regardless of whether or not that is the intention. And for some people, that's a coping mechanism, and more power to you. But on the other half of it, no, this character is telling a story in a very specific time frame, in a very specific place. And if you're not willing to put yourself into the shoes of that perspective, then you don't really have the right to make that commentary. But that's just me going into like, here is potentially a problem again. If they do go through and touch up the script, I'm really worried because I don't think that the fucking localization teams of now are going to respect the source material enough to represent those characters and their stories the way that they should be. I feel like if they do address it at all, it's going to massively change the story and fuck it up. And I feel if they don't address it at all, it's going to get a whole bunch of flack it doesn't deserve by people with zero media literacy.
It's a safe assumption.
I feel passionately about it because this is one of my favorite games, and people are fucking stupid. And again, I have to dance around the actual problems because they're so fucking in depth to the narrative of the overall story. And Persona 4, like long and short of it, is a whodunit. It is a fucking murder mystery. If you talk about the fucking spoiler bit, if you talk about how things are related in that manner, you fuck up the whole storyline. So if you haven't played Persona 4, I would recommend you go and download Persona 4 Golden. If you want 100% it and be a lunatic like I am, the game takes about 90 to 110 hours to 100%. If you want to play it like a regular person and just not worry about it, it'll take like 50 to 60 hours. It is a standard JRPG. Yeah, Valkyne, I would recommend checking it out before the remake comes out because it's gonna bring the problems back, and then people will not respect the fact that some people want to actually know what the story is for themselves and not get spoiled about it by people bitching on Twitter.
But I think that concludes this episode, though.
Yeah, we did
talk about everything.
We did kind of roll a little heavier. I don't know if there was anything.
There's not much else really from Xbox that, for me personally, stood out.
If anything, I think, like, talking about the... God damn it. This is at least an ad for a game that was in this presentation. If anything, the Call of Duty premiere should be talked about because of how fucking jarring it is. I don't care about Call of Duty. I haven't since Black Ops 1, which is when I stopped playing it, even semi-regularly. I don't know where the Call of Duty narrative is. This trailer fucked me up because I did not know it was a Call of Duty trailer. And looking at this looks like a Remedy game. This looks like an Alan Wake-ish, fucking Control-ish, like, vibe for maybe a little more FPS leaning, maybe a little more sci-fi leaning. But this thing
would have never guessed Call of Duty.
And then you got photorealistic guy from This Is Us, actor man whose name I don't know.
Yeah, that I was thinking either it's gonna be a brand new IP or
It made me almost think of Quantum Break. That is also Remedy. So yeah, this feels like a Remedy game. What the fuck is Call of Duty doing in the
and then
Remedy sphere of narrative presentation? Like I,
yeah, and then we when you get the big reveal, like right when I saw the or heard it, I was like, "Are you kidding me?" I was like, "This is Black Ops again?"
so I stopped paying attention.
I
You told me yesterday that the character that's there is Mason's son,
yeah,
and this is like 30 years later or some shit.
I honestly don't even know when and where's the place in because he says his name David Mason, I believe is what it. And I'm like, how is he still being haunted by his dad's killer from the
This
60s?
doesn't look like a Call of Duty. This looks like some
And this, yeah,
fucking like
this I was like,
supernatural psychosis.
where are we
Like some
going
cyberpunk
with all of
shit, my
this?
dude. Like, I mean, that's just straight up
I was
the.
invested. I'm not gonna lie, I was invested with all of this up until I saw him talking to Menendez.
I didn't.
Right when I saw Menendez,
Again,
I was
I
like,
forgot who
"Are you-"
Menendez was. So,
He's the
like,
main
I'm
bad
like,
guy in Black
okay,
Ops 1, yeah.
I know, but I'm like, I forgot who these characters were because I haven't played fucking Black Ops since like, a couple months after its original
Yeah.
release.
This room right here, I was like, this is very reminiscent of when Av Mason walked up.
But this looks like a
And
fucking
fucking
like a game inspired by Control.
yeah. And then yeah, right here it's like he that's Menendez right there talking to him, and he mentioned something, and I was like, "There's no way."
And then this
And
fucking
then this,
transition happens, and I'm like, what the fuck is this game?
I was like, "Where? If I get some stupid bullshit quantum time travel in this Call of Duty,
I have a
I'll be
question.
like,
I have a fucking question.
I don't know where
Was
they're going with this.
I don't remember there being a Black Ops 6. Is that a thing?
Black Ops 6 was the last Black Ops that came out.
Well, that one would assume from Call of Duty Black Ops 7 that the previous game was Call of Duty Black Ops 6.
It was the one that came out last year. That Call of Duty that
I
came out
was
last year. This is why
completely unaware of Black Ops 6
that's why I told
existing.
you, I was like, that's why I told you I was like, that's so weird that they did the Black Ops back to back.
The last one that I was aware of was Black Ops 3. Like, this is how little of a shit about Call of Duty I give. But fucking, like, it's just such a weird perspective to go. And, like,
yeah, first off, let's just let that sink in. We're on Black Ops 7. Do we really need that many games to tell the same goddamn story of the same people?
well, I mean, that's
Like-
the thing. It's supposed to be a news story, hypothetically. And, oh, hey, we had to mention
Like, I
zombies.
don't-
Hey, look, the last second of the trailer
it's
is
so
the
dumb.
zombies bit. Otherwise, you're not going to
Yeah.
buy it.
Because of course, that's the other bit that anyone ever cares about.
But I don't understand what they're trying to do, because if this is going to be a traditional Call of Duty game, who is this for? Like that kind of narrative depth or that kind of like narrative presentation within an environment is not something that you would expect from Call of Duty. And I feel like it's just going to alienate audiences that they have, and then also like not actually bring in anyone, because the second that they look at that trailer and then they see the fucking Call of Duty logo, they fucking slap their heads and they're like, why did I just waste 4 minutes watching this thing that could have been cool if it wasn't Call of Duty?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. But yeah, seeing that trailer at the beginning, I was like, oh, okay, new IP, okay, and then once I started seeing the signs, I was, I got the Call of Duty, get the fuck out of here. I was like, get out.
We gotta listen to Jeff and fucking stop giving a shit about AAA publishers and stop watching this shit and just go through Steam Next Fest. And for every 21 asset flip games made by some kid over the weekend, there is 1 or 2 games that actually look pretty cool. So it's worth shifting through the slop to find the diamonds in the rough.
That's true. That's for sure.
I'm
There are a lot of
doing my
worthwhile
part,
games.
y'all. If I have, and I've been doing more of them than anything else lately, but I have my demo reel bit where I go through and I play demos If y'all want to hang out for that, just I usually mention it in the Discord, on both Beyond's Discord and my own. But yeah, new Next Fest, new demos. There's some stuff that looks pretty fucking cool.
We definitely checked out a good amount last night.
Yeah. I only sorted through. We only sorted through some of the event stuff, not even Steam Next Fest specifically.
No, yeah, we were just looking at whatever was already there. We didn't get to look at the Next Fest stuff because it hadn't technically started.
So, just to sum up, just in summation, what are you most looking forward to? What do you think was successful? What do you think was a miss for this?
Personally, I'm looking forward to Clockwork Revolution. What
Yeah.
Xbox showed from there, that's the one that stood out to me the most there.
Fair.
From the state of play, obviously, Tactics Remastered. But aside from that, then I had Romeo is a Dead Man. Because you just gotta love Suda 51 and Grasshopper. Their games are always amazing and quirky, so they
Yes.
The Ill is definitely another big one on my list from Summer Games Fest that stood out to me.
I mean,
I want to see more of it.
I
need to see more of the gameplay.
I can't really
For
have
sure
an opinion on it
fully
until I
commit.
see what active gameplay looks like.
Yeah, I need to see full active gameplay, like in engine. Like I need to see something. That trailer looks like it mixes a blend of the cinematic with some gameplay, so kind of hard to get a vibe for what the gameplay is gonna be.
Yeah,
because it all looks staged.
it definitely looks
Mortal
like
Shell
this
2?
is the cut for the trailer style of shit.
Mortal Shell 2 was also another one that stood out for me. And I think I'd want to say those would be like my big top 5. I mean, there are other ones, but those are the ones that really like I was like grasped with like by right away that I needed to like I want to see more to get into.
I get that. I think on my end, again, while very critical of what will be happening with Persona 4, I am interested in seeing what happens with Persona 4 redone, whatever the fucking subtitle is. If you say so.
Redone, he says.
It's
redone.
This is the second remake. I get to be an asshole about it because I played through every fucking Persona game.
The redo.
Redux. But no, Fractured Blooms really caught my attention. And I feel like is going to be
Persona
a really
4 Redux Part 2.
I don't even want it. It's fucking the DLC where they bring back Marie from Golden and she has her own fucking storyline. Anyway, Fractured Bloom looks really good. I enjoy psychological horror, and it's also a comfy like harvesting game, so that's the best kind of strange that I really appreciate the tonal dissonance, how that syncs up. I think were I to pick things that were presented, Requiem, definitely 100%. Resident Evil Requiem it's a new Resident Evil game. I'm actually kind of hype for Mina, the Hollower. That I've been looking forward. I was a really big really big Shovel Knight fan, like from day one.
Oh,
from the Kickstarter.
Mina the Hollower?
Yeah. So seeing Yacht Club do another game is good. There's a bunch of like indie horror, creepy, spooky game, like any number of them. And what was it? Into the Abyss.
Is another one that stood out. End of Abyss.
End of Abyss.
Yeah, End of Abyss is the one that really stood out to me on that. The Cube, I will say, caught my eye more.
I haven't played Atomic Heart since it launched. If the game feels better to play, I would like maybe they updated it to not be as shit. I would enjoy playing that.
Oh, obviously we can't forget about Felt That Boxing. obviously that one was just one that really surprised everyone.
I don't know how to feel about that game because it evokes such a visceral, like, what the fuck even is this reaction in me.
Yeah.
It's the uncanny valley thing, man. I don't know how I feel about it. Like, it's funny. The fact that it exists is great, but it's also just like, I don't know, like, how deep that rabbit hole is gonna go. I just hope it comes out and meets expectations of whatever the fuck it is, because, you know.
Yeah, I just hope it's fun. Like, at the end of the day, like,
because if I had $1 for every fucking quirky game we saw that never actually even came out, then that would, you know, that would fund our own game dev studio. I wanna give Atomic Heart a chance, because 2 looks like it at least runs well. But I also
Stranger Than Heaven, yeah, that's another good one.
Stranger Than Heaven is like, I feel weird even having to say it because it's just so like innate of like, oh hey, yeah, new Ryu ga Kotoku fucking studio game, yes, 100%, we're there, it's already it's a given. Fucking yeah, I don't know. I'm really looking forward to Clockwork. I want to get my hands on it so that I know that it is meeting the expectations I just internally have for any.
I think that's the only thing that I really like the Xbox right now, or the obviously Xbox showcase, is that most of the titles they announced them were gonna be day one drops. It's like, oh, I have nothing to lose if I get a Game Pass. I can just try it. If I like it, I like it. Then I get to just keep playing. If I don't, oh well. And then that's it.
So again, if Microsoft would ever like to send me a check for all the retroactive shilling I've done for Game Pass, because Beyond was vehemently against Game Pass when I first told him about stuff, and then he did thing, and then he's like, oh hey man, Game Pass is pretty good. Oh yeah, that Invincible game was a thing.
Yeah,
I don't know how to feel about it, mostly because I just am kind of meh on Invincible. But
I mean, you know, I have a feeling it's gonna be good. I just don't think it's gonna be as big as some other fighting games, because you got the ex devs of Killer Instinct, and I'm talking about Iron Galaxy, I think.
Yeah, like the proper.
Yeah, Iron Galaxy, the original guys who did Killer Instinct 2013.
Yeah, the original remake of Killer Instinct for sure.
They're the ones who are developing that game. So I'm like, okay, you already know they're gonna have them for that game. Whether they get the backing for it is gonna be different, but
is Seth Killian involved in it at all?
No. Oh no, Double Helix. It was Double Helix.
Was it Double Helix?
Iron Galaxy took
over. Iron Galaxy
Double
took it over.
Helix was the first. Yeah, Double Helix is the one that got bought out by Amazon, and then they took it over. No, Seth Killian, I think, is. I don't know if he's working closely with Capcom, but that's where he was at. I think he's just kind of doing his own thing. I don't.
He was involved in the original stuff for.
Oh, he was involved in quite a lot. Yeah.
I just don't. I don't know. I haven't been keeping track of where his career went.
So yeah, like Invincible versus looks dope. Marvel took on.
Yeah, I mean, along the lines of fighting games, like you got Arxis doing Marvel, so I'm hyped for it. I know that some people are kind of salt about it, which is just fucking weird to me, because after Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite, which I knew, I know, and am going to acknowledge that Disney and executive production is the reason that MVC Infinite looked shit. But the gameplay was always good. The systems within MVC Infinite were great, and had been. It just, the game looked like ass because they wanted to push a very particular style for the upcoming the Marvel Cinematic Universe shit.
The roster that was just lacking, the staple characters.
So,
you know what's funny?
Yeah.
Hearing talking about roster, I have a feeling the Arxis game isn't going to use staple characters as most people are.
No, they've got Miss Marvel as the first fucking person on screen.
But I don't think that's a bad thing. because that's definitely going to make them stand out.
So that's what I was going to say, is
versus
that
Capcom.
Arxis is all about their style, so they could give a fuck less about whatever notes the Disney quote unquote Marvel rep is going to have. Although, like from the interview that came out with the State of Play bit, it really seems like, hey, we know that our meddling fucked this shit up last time, so we're just gonna give it to Arxis because they know what they're doing, and Arxis knows what they're doing.
Yeah, so I'm excited to see who they're gonna reveal, like what quirky characters they're gonna have that you didn't expect, and maybe what some of the characters that you do expect to be.
Finally, bring Shumagorath back.
Exactly. So here we go. Give me Jeff the Landshark as a playable character, as in a fighter. I'm in.
I feel like we have enough Jeff the Landshark personally, but
No. We never have enough. No, I think I would like to see characters like outside of the because I was thinking about it, I was like, okay, don't do Hulk, do She-Hulk. Okay,
yeah,
that's fair.
If only there was a good She-Hulk property out for them to attach.
I would say like Colossus would be another good character because we haven't seen him in a long while, as opposed to having like a Juggernaut.
Well, it really depends.
Seeing Doctor Doom, Doom already was like.
Was there any rep for the X-Men? I don't remember.
Storm was already in the game.
Storm's there, so the integration of X-Men characters is kind of a given. That open, especially with how successful X-Men.
I see Daredevil being a character because he's technically already in the background of one of the stages.
As long as they keep it to Daredevil, I'm not a fan of a lot of the Defenders characters functionally. Like I don't see them really having a place in that game, but
Iron Fist could.
I don't want Iron Fist in that game.
Is it because of the Marvel Rivals?
No, it's because Iron Fist is a fucking boring character. I'll say it. I'll paint that target on my back. Iron Fist and Iron Fist's goddamn storylines are so fucking boring. No.
I mean, that's fair.
Also, I don't like his iteration in Marvel Rivals, obviously. That may have soured my opinion on him even more.
Well, that's because it's the new Iron Fist. That's not Daniel Rand Iron Fist. I would want... I like that they went with Robbie Reyes, Ghost Rider, actually.
Yeah.
And not Johnny Blaze. I like that they're doing the modern take on.
I haven't seen as much of the modern Ghost Rider stuff, but the design looks interesting, so that's something.
Mm-hmm. He drives a... I forgot what car he drives, but he doesn't ride a like Johnny. Like they made him his own character. He stands out, sure.
Yeah, fair enough. There's a lot of Grounded on screen. Did you play Grounded at all?
No. I saw it, but I never saw any interest in it. I think that pretty much covers everything that we got to see and do over the weekend, or our impressions were.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's definitely going to be more to come, but yes, this is the death throw of E3 weekend.
Oh yeah.
So everybody had to get their stuff out before the start of Q3.
Of course.
That's the downside. Like, I hate to be that guy, but fucking I can't separate the awareness of the industry from anything anymore. So I understand that this is a big dick showing contest for stockholders, and that's really it. Yeah. That's why I'm so
whatever it is.
I'm so focused on looking at the indie shit. You know, the indie shit, the thing I will compliment Summer Games Fest on is that Jeff does go out of his way to present opportunities for, and the greater thing, I know that Jeff Keighley is not the entirety of what creates Summer Games Fest. He's just the host and the guy behind the, original show concept. But there is a big team that goes into deciding who is going to get a trailer and how expensive that is going to be, and who they decide to platform, without having to charge that same rate. Yeah, because it's fucking expensive to get a trailer at any of these shows, but primarily if you're not at a first party show, where your trailer is being presented by a first party, SGF is really kind of insane. It's not Super Bowl numbers, and we had this conversation over the weekend too, but this is a percentage of their marketing budget. So when the show decides to give the opportunity to smaller devs to be able to present their ideas, like seeing like what indie stuff is so inspired that it gets platformed is really interesting. And that's where my focus kind of lies, and that's why I, have gone so hard on pushing, like, looking into the demos of Steam Next Fest, because there's so much from indie devs and small creators, small teams, and individual creators, and the people who don't have the money to market the way that they do, that have a quality of product that is just fucking, like, immense. That child has a face on the back of his head. I'm sorry, that this trailer is jarring. But yeah, no, so my focus is definitely more on the indie scene, to give them the shot that they otherwise wouldn't have, because it's really, like, it really is tough. You have to grind your way through all of the chaff before you can find something, but it is worth looking through all of these things that are platformed this weekend to.
And even Jeff said it himself. He's like, there's so much out there. He's like, the number one thing, not exposure, and he's like, and that's the purpose of,
like, the biggest
show and everything going
the biggest points of
forward
success on the highest fucking selling ratings chart are individually produced games made by small teams outside of the regular AAA production circuit. It really is, like, looking towards small teams is and we've had this conversation about Expedition 33, and, like, it is not, like, the myth of, like, oh, it's a team of 30 people. There's definitely more than just the dev. There's more than just the dev team there. The core team is very small, and only several members from those core teams were from those AAA dev studios. That's where that. So not diving into the mythos of, like, grandstanding a success as more than what it was, which is a deserved response to really well done work. But Expedition 33 is a really good, like, point of, like, this thing would not exist in the AAA sphere.
Yeah,
we need to look outside of the AAA sphere for quality product, because at the end of the day, the fucking endless perpetual growth system has destroyed this industry, and we need to look elsewhere, and we need to support the efforts being made by those smaller teams. And even if it's just wish listing a thing that you don't know, like the first time developers game on Steam, it goes a long fucking way, man.
It goes a long way for these companies, and that's why I always commend Jeff. He does all of this every year to give said companies a chance, because sometimes there's so much coming out that it will get buried, and I mean buried within all other stock that comes out, that some really good games get passed up for years. So this is why I always, and I too, like, right now I've been on the whole thing, I prefer indie over AAA. And I have a better time with indie games than AAA.
And it's not like the inherent truth of, like, oh, this wasn't made by a AAA studio, so it will be good, or this was made by a AAA studio, so it will be bad. But while there is no ethical consumption under capitalism, we do need to be aware of what has gone into the product that we buy. How many people, have worked unfair, unpaid, ungarnished waged hours to fucking produce a thing that is really just a tool to exploit even more money out of you. That's not always the case, but media literacy is really important, y'all. I would recommend you look into the production of anything you consume.
Of course.
It's just the responsible choice of being a modern consumer. There is no ethical consumption under capitalism, but you can go out of your way to make sure that you're not indulging extremely unethical practices.
That's perfectly fine. Yeah, that's perfectly fine. I tend to go back and play older games because I'm like, and then I always get the sense where I'm like, when I've played from my childhood, even like older JRPGs, that, you know what? It's why, like, a game like Expedition, like, there was this breath of fresh air. Because as you guys have seen how spewing about it and how, like, ooze all over that. It generally just gives me that old sensation I had as a kid, where I genuinely just enjoyed it all the way through. Because sometimes there are games where I play nowadays where I'll enjoy it for a little bit and then drop immediately, because they just don't keep my attention like they used to.
Alrighty, and on the note of
the Xbox Showcase. Thank y'all for hanging out for yet another episode of Two Minds. This one was a little seasonally kind of focused, but we do have a couple more in the pipeline.
Yes, we do. Yeah,
that will be a little less time sensitive and a little more like just kind of broader strokes.
Thanks for everyone that came out to enjoy us and enjoy our spiel as usual. We love all the love and support, and we love that you guys are here to support that, and we always love hearing back from.
Yeah, so if you have an idea for a topic or anything that you think that you'd like to hear us kvetch horrendously about for hours on end, let us know in either Beyond or my Discord. The Discords are...
If you guys have ideas, feel free to give us some suggestions. Just to make these a bit more often as we can.
Yeah. But yeah, feel free to hop in there. We also host the VODs over on both of our channels if you want to see my perspective. This one's going to take a little more editing. Thanks, OBS. We have my VODs over on Damn Fine Cup of Gaming, and I believe
I have
Beyond's got his YouTube backlog as well, so the VODs for each of these should be going up on there relatively soon. So if you head over to Damn Fine Encrypted, there's a link for that Discord. Is there anything that you would like to play?
No, that's it. I was planning on calling it there for the night.
I'm gonna hold off, but tomorrow I am going to I'm gonna do another Demonstrables. That's the show over on Damn Fine Encrypted where I play game demos. It is Next Fest. This is the season where new demos come out. There's maybe 300 gigabytes of demo installs on my fucking hard drive. We need to clear some of that out.
Yes.
But yeah, so I'll be doing that tomorrow, most likely. And maybe we'll... there is a poll over in the Damn Fine Discord on what the next game we play is. So, depending on the results of that, we might be doing... looks like either Hades 2 or might get started on the Voice of Cards trilogy, which I've been meaning to get to for a while.
Hell yeah.
But yeah.
Definitely be there for that. Dude, the music for Voice of Cards, forgot how great.
Yoko Taro game. It's kind of a given at that point.
It always gets me. Yeah, again, thanks everyone for being here. I'll be back more than likely Wednesday this week.
Oh, you know what, actually? Wait, no, tomorrow's Tuesday. I completely forgot what day it was. Yeah. So yes, tomorrow demo stream, Wednesday, no stream. D&D.
I'll be back Wednesday. We'll see you next time.
Appreciate it.
Peace.